Beneath the skin of our world lies a mosaic of the unimaginable. 100 places so otherworldly, they fracture the boundary between waking life and dream. A stone forest that sings in the wind, a lake the color of spilled mercury, temples swallowed by roots, mirages made solid. These aren't fantasies. They're real, and they've been hiding in plain sight from you all this time. Deep within the snow-laced ridges of China's Tianzi Mountains, peaks pierce the heavens like the jagged spires of a forgotten kingdom. Wreathed in a halo of morning mist, their vertical silhouettes defy logic. Stone towers rising hundreds of meters, blanketed in lush greenery and often veiled in clouds. It feels like a world untouched by time, where gravity holds its breath and legends come to life with each shifting shadow. This isn't a place that simply exists. It floats, as if suspended between earth and sky. The forests cling to the cliffs like ancient spirits refusing to let go, while narrow bridges thread between summits like strands of silk spun by giants. The silence is palpable, only broken by the occasional call of a distant bird echoing off the rock. These are the formations that inspired the floating mountains of Pandora in Avatar. Yet standing before them, no fiction could ever match the awe of their reality. In the remote heart of Socotra Island, off the coast of Yemen, an alien world unfolds in complete isolation. Here, dragon blood trees spread their umbrella-like canopies as if shielding the earth from an invisible sun. Their crimson sap, said to be the blood of dragons, bleeds through cracks in the bark, staining the soil with stories untold. The air smells faintly of salt and myrrh, and the wind carries whispers in a language only the trees understand. Rocky plateaus rise and fall like the scales of a great sleeping beast, and between them grow bottle trees swollen with water, their shapes abstract and surreal. The land is dry and severe, yet teeming with life found nowhere else on Earth. The surrealism here isn't an effect, it's the essence. Socotra feels not like a part of this planet, but like a fragment of another, broken off and adrift in the Arabian Sea. To walk among its forms is to question the limits of the natural world. Hidden beneath the streets of Naples lies a city not forgotten, but buried, an underworld carved by hand over thousands of years. The Napoli Sotterranea is a labyrinth of catacombs, aqueducts, air raid shelters, and ancient Roman roads, all tucked within the volcanic tuff that makes up the region's foundation. Lantern light flickers across damp walls etched with the marks of slaves, priests, and wartime refugees. In narrow corridors, silence settles like dust, broken only by the slow drip of water echoing in unseen chambers. In places, entire rooms remain preserved, frescoes still visible, ancient graffiti scratched into stone, amphorae sitting in quiet rows like watchful sentinels. It's a city within a city, a time capsule sealed beneath the modern world. To descend into its depths is to fall through centuries, each step unveiling a new layer of civilization. It's not haunted by ghosts, it breathes them. Cradled in the arid folds of Chile's Atacama Desert lies the Valle de la Luna, the Valley of the Moon. Here, time has carved a dreamscape from salt, clay, and stone, an ocean of dunes frozen in silence and motionless waves of ochre and amber. When the sun begins its slow descent, light refracts across crystalline salt flats and fractures the horizon into flame. The wind here sculpts the land with invisible hands, shaping formations that resemble shattered castles, petrified ships, and the skeletons of forgotten titans. The ground crunches underfoot with the sound of brittle salt cracking, while above, The sky remains a dome of blinding blue or velvet black, punctured with a billion stars. There is no wildlife chatter, no flowing water, just stillness. Yet within that silence, the earth speaks with clarity. Valle de la Luna is not lifeless. It is suspended in a trance, where the past whispers to the present through wind and stone. In the highlands of northern Vietnam, woven into a tapestry of emerald terraces, lies the village of Hoang Su Phi. Here, rice paddies cascade down mountainsides in hypnotic, spiraling patterns, glowing gold and jade with the shifting sun. Mist weaves through the paddies in the early morning, giving the illusion that the mountains are slowly breathing. Farmers in conical hats move along narrow mud paths, their reflections shimmering like ghosts across water mirrors. The air tastes of wet earth and wood smoke, and time flows not in seconds, but in seasons. Hoang Su Phi is a symphony of textures, leaf, mud, bamboo, water, all in harmony. Its beauty isn't sculpted or staged. It grows with the land. As night falls, flickers of light appear from scattered homes across the hills, and the stars, bright and unpolluted, mirror the pattern of the terraces below. This is a place not just seen, but felt, like an old song hummed through mountains. Tucked between rugged ridgelines in Iceland's west fjords lies Raudisandur, a beach so surreal it dissolves the notion of color itself. Unlike Iceland's famous black shores, this one burns with hues of peach, coral, and gold. The sand, flecked with crushed shells and ancient volcanic sediment, stretches endlessly beneath skies that shift from sapphire to storm silver in a heartbeat. The ocean rolls in, not with violence, but with rhythm, a lullaby echoing from the edge of the world. Sea mist clings to the air, and seals can be seen lounging on the sand, undisturbed by the human world. The beach is framed by steep cliffs dusted in green and pierced by cascading waterfalls that vanish into the void. To stand on Raudisandur is to feel as though the landscape itself is pausing, offering you a moment outside of time. There's no rush here, only reverence. In the isolated hills of Meghalaya, India, beneath thick monsoon clouds and the veil of ancient rainforests, the living root bridges grow. Twisting, crawling, and stretching across turbulent rivers, these bridges aren't built. They're guided over decades. The Kazi people, with quiet patience, train the roots of Ficus elastica trees to form living pathways strong enough to carry generations. Some of these bridges stretch over 100 feet and are over 500 years old. Their surfaces slick with moss and rain, their arches casting reflections on the rushing waters below. Mist clings to the canopy above, and from the forest floor, each bridge appears like a stairway woven from the earth's veins. The air is thick with petrichor, the scent of endless rainfall and ancient bark. These are not just crossings. They are living testaments to time, resilience, and a symbiosis between humanity and nature almost forgotten in the modern world. Deep in the heart of Croatia's Plitvice Lakes National Park, water becomes poetry. 16 cascading lakes, each a shade of turquoise more vivid than the last, are connected by hundreds of waterfalls, creating a vertical ballet of flow and light. Wooden footbridges snake gently above the waters, allowing visitors to walk as though hovering. The air is thick with moisture and bird song, and every corner reveals a new surprise: a hidden grotto, a veil-like fall, or a sudden burst of wildflowers. In the dappled sun, the lakes reflect the forest like a memory, soft and ephemeral. Below the surface, fish glide through mineral-rich waters so clear they appear suspended in air. The sound of falling water is omnipresent, not overwhelming, but grounding, a constant lull that reminds you. This is not a dream, but a masterpiece sculpted by centuries of patience and flow. Here, water is not just seen or heard, it is felt in every breath and every footstep. High above the clouds in the tiny Swiss village of Lauterbrunnen, a hidden valley unfolds with a grandeur so intimate it feels whispered rather than spoken. Sheer cliffs rise like cathedral walls, cloaked in greenery and crowned with drifting mist. From these vertical sanctuaries, waterfalls pour like silver threads, 72 of them, each with its own rhythm and voice. Staubach Falls, the highest among them, dances from nearly 300 meters high, descending in an ethereal spray that catches the light like powdered diamonds. The valley hums with stillness, broken only by the occasional toll of distant cowbells or the low rumble of a train slipping along the mountainside. Wooden chalets nestle into meadows sprinkled with wildflowers, their windows glowing golden in the soft alpine sun. Lauterbrunnen doesn't demand your attention. It invites it gently, offering an untouched stillness so complete it feels sacred. Time slows here, not out of inertia, but out of reverence. On the fringes of northern Madagascar lies a stone forest unlike anything else on Earth, the Tsingy de Bemaraha. Razor-sharp limestone pinnacles rise like the jagged bones of a slumbering titan, hundreds of feet tall and sculpted by wind and time into a maze of towers, bridges, and chasms. From the sky, it resembles a petrified ocean frozen mid-storm. Walking through it is an experience of surreal disorientation. Narrow passageways open into vast stone halls, and bridges of wood and rope stretch across gorges with nothing but vertical emptiness below. The rock underfoot is jagged and ancient, and vines curl around the stone as though trying to claim it back. Yet life thrives here. Insects and birds that exist nowhere else flit through the crevices, and hidden groves shelter rare lemurs who leap across the spires like whispers. The Tsingy feels alive, as though the stone itself remembers every footstep, every gust of wind, every echo of ancient footsteps. In the icy grip of Patagonia, Argentina, an alien palette of blue, white, and silver pulses with raw, elemental power. This is the Perito Moreno Glacier, a 19-mile-long river of ice that groans, cracks, and crashes with a voice that speaks to the soul. Its facade, towering over 200 feet above the water, is a cathedral of jagged ice towers, each glowing with an inner light. The glacier doesn't just sit silently. It moves, expanding daily, calving thunderous hunks of ice into the milky blue waters of Lago Argentino. The sound of ice breaking here isn't merely noise. It's a shudder through the chest, a language of shifting earth. As the sun arcs across the sky, the glacier reflects every hue: cerulean shadows, aquamarine depths, white fire at noon. Birds soar above in silence, dwarfed by the sheer immensity. Perito Moreno is not frozen. It's breathing, creaking forward, as a living monument to the forces that shaped the planet itself. Drifting through the jungles of Guatemala, hidden beneath layers of moss and centuries of silence, the ancient city of Yaxha emerges like a lost thought brought back to life. Unlike its more famous cousin, Tikal, Yaxha remains secluded, undisturbed by crowds, where jungle paths open suddenly into plazas flanked by temples, ball courts, and astronomical towers. The structures rise in solemn geometry, their steps worn smooth by millennia of footsteps. Priests, kings, rebels, ghosts. Howler monkeys echo in the canopy above, and the scent of earth, stone, and leaf mingles into something sacred. As the sun dips below the treetops, Temple 216 rises like a stairway to the stars, casting a long shadow over the glassy lake, that bears the city's name. The Mayans knew this place intimately. They charted the sky from here, communed with their gods, aligned their world with the cosmos. Yaksha isn't a ruin. It's a sleeping memory, still dreaming beneath the trees. Carved into the wild interior of Oman's Al-Hajar Mountains, the village of Misfat al-Abriyain clings to cliffs with poetic defiance. Built from stone and mud brick, its houses stack like honeycomb along the edge of a deep canyon. Narrow alleyways wind between homes and over centuries-old Falaj irrigation channels that still nourish cascading terraces of date palms and bananas. The stones underfoot are smooth with time, and everywhere there is a soft hush, like the mountains themselves are holding their breath. The air here is thick with the scent of frankincense and citrus, and the landscape shifts in color with every passing hour. Rust-red cliffs at dawn, golden terraces by noon, indigo shadows at twilight. Misfat feels both ancient and alive, preserved not in time, but in spirit. As dusk falls and the muezzin's call drifts over the terraces, the village seems to blur with the landscape, becoming not a place but a feeling of stillness, of roots, of belonging. Off the southern coast of Italy, carved into the cliffs of Basilicata, the city of Matera rises like a sculpted echo of the earth itself. Its ancient district, the Sassi, is a network of cave dwellings and stone churches carved directly from limestone, layered and stacked like an architectural tapestry. Walking through Matera is like moving through a dream that blurs the line between man and nature. The streets are stairways. The roofs are other people's floors. Light bounces between creamy white walls, and shadows stretch long in the narrow alleys, where time seems permanently set to twilight. By night, thousands of warm lights flicker across the cliffside, turning the city into a living nativity scene. Matera has survived everything: abandonment, rediscovery, reinvention, and yet it never lost its heart. Beneath its beauty is a resilience, etched into every worn step and carved chamber. Matera is not just inhabited, it is inhaled and exhaled like a living breath. On a remote plateau in Ethiopia, the Danakil Depression defies all rules of nature. Here, fire and salt, acid and steam conspire to create a technicolor terrain more suited to another planet. Sulfur pools bubble in electric yellows, reds, and greens, while salt flats stretch to the horizon, interrupted only by steam vents and mineral towers that seem to grow from the ground like coral from an unseen sea. Temperatures here can soar past 50 degrees, yet life persists, extremophile microbes coloring the landscape in surreal patterns of neon. The earth gurgles and groans, constantly shifting under pressure from volcanic activity below. It is a place of contradiction, hostile yet mesmerizing, dangerous yet hypnotic. Standing in the Danakil Depression feels like witnessing the birth of the earth, raw and primal and impossibly vivid. It challenges the imagination and dares you to look closer. Nothing about this place whispers. It blazes, unashamedly alive. Nestled in the jungles of Sri Lanka, the rock fortress of Sigiriya bursts skyward from the earth like a monolith of forgotten gods. Known as the Lion Rock, its summit is accessed by a labyrinth of symmetrical gardens, ancient frescoes, and vertigo-inducing staircases carved into sheer vertical rock. Halfway up, two enormous lion's paws guard a stone staircase, the last remnants of a massive lion sculpture that once led the way to a royal palace in the sky. The view from the top stretches across endless jungle and rolling hills, and in the stillness, it becomes easy to believe this was once a divine seat. The rock tells stories in fragments, mirror walls etched with 1,000-year-old poetry. frescoes of celestial maidens glowing against ochre stone, fountains that still flow during monsoon rains. Sigiriya is a paradox, an impenetrable fortress that now welcomes the wind, a relic of empire that surrendered to the vines. It does not whisper its past, it roars it still. In a secluded corner of northern Portugal, shrouded in mist and moss, lies the garden of Quinta da Regaleira, a place where architecture and mysticism intertwine in a dance of stone and shadow. This is not merely a garden, but a symphony of symbolism, a playground for secrets. Gothic towers rise from manicured groves, hidden tunnels snake beneath the earth, and fountains whisper forgotten names. At its heart lies the Initiation Well, a spiral staircase that plunges deep into the earth, lined with 9 levels echoing Dante's Descent. As you walk its damp, echoing path, light filters down like a blessing, illuminating carved emblems of alchemy, masonry, and ancient faith. It's a place designed not to be seen, but to be felt, every curve and chamber a metaphor. Fog lingers in the corners like half-remembered dreams, and each turn offers something unexpected. A statue cloaked in ivy, a door that leads into darkness, a corridor where sound disappears. Quinta da Regaleira is not a destination. It is a riddle in stone. In the icy expanse of northern Norway, where the night sky becomes a theater of flame, the Lofoten Islands drift like a forgotten legend upon the sea. Jagged peaks rise abruptly from turquoise fjords, their snow-capped silhouettes mirrored perfectly in still, glassy waters. Tiny fishing villages cling to the edges of the archipelago, red Rohrbuer cabins perched on stilts, their reflections shimmering beneath the aurora's glow. The silence here is not absence but presence, filled with the crunch of snow beneath boots, the cry of gulls wheeling overhead, the deep rhythm of the ocean pressing against rocks. In winter, the skies erupt into a kaleidoscope of greens and purples, streaking across the heavens in waves that seem to breathe. In summer, the sun never sets, and golden light bathes the mountains at midnight, turning shadows into silver. The Lofoten Islands do not offer a view. They offer a spell, a moment suspended, fragile and eternal. Tucked into the folds of southern China's Guangxi region, the village of Yangshuo unfurls beside the Li River like a painting brought to life. Towering karst peaks rise around the water like silent sentinels, cloaked in morning mist that lingers long after sunrise. The river glides past bamboo groves and fields of bright green rice, where water buffalo wade and cormorant fishermen float on bamboo rafts, their silhouettes etched against the dawn. Time here is liquid, moving slow and soft. The sounds of the river, lapping, trickling, echoing, blend with the rustle of leaves and distant flutes played by unseen hands. The limestone mountains wear crowns of drifting cloud, each curve and peak telling its own story of erosion and eternity. At night, lanterns shimmer across the water's surface, and the karsts vanish into silhouette, standing like ancient spirits in the darkness. Yangshuo is not dramatic, it is poetic. A place where nature hums in harmony with human rhythm. In the heart of the South Pacific, nestled within French Polynesia, lies the atoll of Tetiaroa, a ring of emerald islets cradling a lagoon so luminous it appears lit from within. Once the sacred retreat of Tahitian royalty, this hidden paradise glows with untouched purity. The waters shift from sapphire to opal to jade, home to sea turtles, manta rays, and reef sharks gliding effortlessly over coral cathedrals. Palm trees sway with a rhythm older than time, their shadows dancing on sand so white it seems surreal. There are no roads, no cities, only whispers of ocean breeze, the rustle of fronds, and the hush of waves lapping the reef. Birds nest undisturbed, and the stars fall close enough to touch. It's a place that feels like it slipped through a crack in reality, a sanctuary not only of beauty, but of balance. Tetiaroa doesn't ask for awe. It simply exists in a state of it. At the edge of the Namib Desert in southern Namibia, the rust-red dunes of Sossusvlei tower over the land like sleeping giants caught in mid-motion. Some stretch over 300 meters into the sky, their slopes sculpted by centuries of wind into razor-sharp ridges and smooth, sweeping arcs. Between them lies Dedvlei, a salt-white clay pan frozen in time, where blackened camel-thorn trees stand petrified under a merciless sun. Their twisted branches claw the air, casting long, skeletal shadows over cracked earth. There is no sound here, not even wind, only silence, so complete it echoes. The color palette is impossible. Orange sand, blue sky, white pan, black trees. It doesn't seem like a place where life could ever have existed, and yet it did, and does, in the smallest and most stubborn of forms. As the sun rises, the dunes catch fire with light, each grain casting shadows that move like breath. Sossusvlei is a cathedral of extremes, where desolation becomes beauty in its purest form. In the dense tropical forests of Colombia, shrouded in mystery and mist, the lost city of Tayuna slumbers beneath a canopy of emerald. Older than Machu Picchu, and accessible only by days of trekking through jungle rivers, steep mountains, and stinging insects, this ancient city reveals itself slowly. Terraces curve along hillsides like the fingerprints of forgotten gods, and moss-covered stone steps rise endlessly into the trees. Monkeys chatter overhead, and giant butterflies dart between shafts of sunlight that pierce the green gloom. No roads lead here, no noise follows you. Only the rhythm of breath, the pulse of machetes cutting through vines, and the distant roar of waterfalls. When you reach it, the city isn't triumphant. It's quiet, reverent. Circular plazas where rituals once danced now sit beneath moss and fog, the jungle forever trying to reclaim its secrets. Tayuna doesn't belong to us. It listens, watching from behind the leaves. In a remote valley of New Zealand's South Island, the luminous waters of Lake Tekapo stretch beneath skies of impossible clarity. During the day, the lake gleams turquoise, its color born from glacier-ground rock suspended in the water. Lupine flowers, in riots of purple, pink, and violet, bloom along the shore, their colors exploding against the blue like a painter's rebellion. Above it all, the tiny stone church of the Good Shepherd sits in contemplative silence, its altar window framing the lake and mountains like a divine painting. But when night falls, the true wonder awakens. This is one of the clearest skies on Earth. The Milky Way ignites overhead, spilling across the heavens with a clarity so sharp it feels like a portal. Shooting stars flash like secrets revealed. Planets burn like watchful eyes. Lake Tekapo isn't just a destination, it's a bridge between Earth and cosmos, where even silence is full of song. Buried within the cliffs of southwestern Turkey, the ghost town of Kayakoi lies in solemn slumber. Once a thriving Greek village, its stone homes, chapels, and fountains now stand roofless and hollow, their windows staring like empty eyes across the valley. Wild grass spills into old living rooms. Vines twist up forgotten altars. Footsteps echo in alleyways where children once laughed. The sunlight here doesn't illuminate, it reveals. Dust motes drift through broken rafters, and the wind sighs through doorways like a memory trying to speak. Despite its abandonment, Kayakoi is not lifeless. The scent of pine and sagebrush floats in the air, and lizards scurry through cracked walls. The silence is not sad, but sacred, an ode to everything that was and still lingers. It is a village that hums with stories, even when no one is listening. High in the Andes of Peru, suspended between mountain spires and veiled in clouds, the fortress of Choqquequirao clings to the edge of myth. Often called the sister city to Machu Picchu but far less visited, Choqquequirao sprawls across mountain ridges in terraces and plazas, its stones meticulously fitted without mortar, its walls carved with symbols of jaguars and serpents. The only way to reach it is by foot, through days of hiking steep, rugged trails that test both body and will. But when the fog parts and the sun kisses its granite foundations, a magic unfolds. Structures emerge from mist like forgotten prayers, and the silence feels thick enough to hold. Condors soar above the cliffs, their shadows tracing sacred geometry across the land. Choqquequirao doesn't dazzle with accessibility. It whispers rewards to those who seek with patience. It remains hidden not out of secrecy, but respect, as if the mountains themselves are still deciding who is worthy to find it. Off the coast of Belize, the Great Blue Hole yawns into the Caribbean like an entrance to another world. Perfectly circular, this abyss drops into indigo depths that seem to drink in the sunlight. From above, the sharp edge between turquoise shallows and midnight blue is so crisp, it feels as though someone drew it with a ruler. Beneath the surface, coral walls descend into shadow, adorned with the slow sway of sea fans and the silent glide of reef sharks. The water is so clear, it turns every movement into a slow-motion ballet. Diving here feels less like swimming and more like floating through time itself, each meter down peeling away a layer of the known world until all that remains is the pull of the deep. In the frozen reaches of Patagonia, the marble caves rest like liquid sculptures, their swirling blue and white walls shaped by decades of waves and meltwater. Sunlight refracts through the glacial lake, casting rippling patterns on the vaulted ceilings. The rock itself looks like it's flowing, marbled veins twisting in impossible curves, blurring the line between stone and water. You move through narrow corridors in a small boat, the echo of your voice coming back in softened tones. The water beneath you glows a luminous turquoise, as though the lake is lit from within. Each turn reveals a new chamber, each chamber a new mood, from the intimate quiet of a hidden alcove to the grandeur of open caverns that could swallow whole ships. Hidden within the dry, rugged heart of Jordan and eclipsed by the fame of Petra, lies a site of staggering serenity and mystery. Dana Biosphere Reserve. A land caught in perpetual twilight between desert and mountain, its sweeping canyons and plateaus seem sculpted by the breath of the gods. Here, the terrain folds in endless variations. Red sandstone cliffs stacked like ancient books, olive groves clinging to wind-blown terraces, and sun-scorched plateaus that melt into golden horizons. The village of Dana, perched on the edge of a deep gorge, is a scatter of stone houses that seem as old as the rocks themselves. Silence dominates. Occasionally, the bray of a donkey or the call to prayer floats through the dry air. But mostly, there is just wind and space. Space so vast it humbles every thought you carry. Trails lead deep into the reserve, where rare ibex navigate cliff edges with impossible grace, and vultures drift overhead in slow, sacred spirals. At sunset, The canyons glow with fire, shadows long and amber light dripping down stone like molten honey. The stars arrive early and fiercely, painting the sky in crystalline clarity. You feel far from everything, yet intimately connected to something older than language. In Dana, the land does not scream for your attention. It whispers, and in its whispers you find the sacred, the forgotten, the eternal. In the heart of Central Asia, where the winds weave songs through vast empty steppes, there lies a crater filled not with lava, but with fire. Darvaza, the door to hell, burns deep in the Turkmen desert, an open wound of orange flame set against an ocean of silence. It's not marked with signs or guarded by rails. One simply stumbles upon it after miles of barren dunes, a mouth of flame flickering with unnatural vitality. At dusk, the effect is staggering. The sky bleeds into lavender and charcoal while the crater glows brighter, a sunken furnace against the growing dark. Flames lick the edge, snapping and hissing with an eerie constancy. It was born by accident, a collapsed natural gas field set alight by Soviet geologists half a century ago, and it has burned ever since. The desert absorbs the sound, leaving only the low, hellish murmur of the pit. Campers set up tents nearby, their silhouettes outlined by the flicker of eternal combustion. Stars shimmer above in stark defiance of the blaze below. Here you feel suspended between elements, sky and fire, silence and roar, time and infinity. It is not a place of beauty in the traditional sense, but it is cinematic, it is primal, and it is unforgettable. High in the jungle-covered limestone karsts of northern Laos, the village of Nong Khiao unfurls beside the lazy Nam U River like a watercolor painting brought to life. Mist settles in the folds of the mountains every morning, as though the earth is still waking from a 1,000-year slumber. Wooden boats drift silently along the jade waters, casting soft ripples in their path. The cliffs that surround the village rise steeply, their surfaces carved with the secrets of time, sheltering vines, orchids, and sleeping bats in their crags. Life here is slow, but it pulses with clarity. Children laugh in the river's shallows, their voices carrying in the still air. Roosters call from bamboo pens. Monks in saffron robes cross rickety bridges with bare feet, moving like whispers through the forest. At sunset, the entire valley turns gold, light bending over the peaks and bleeding into the river, making the world shimmer with impossible warmth. Lanterns glow in windows, and the scent of lemongrass and wood smoke lingers in the twilight. From the hilltop viewpoint, the panorama is staggering, a serpent river winding between mountains like a lullaby etched into the skin of the earth. Nong Khiao is not a spectacle. It's a sanctuary of slowness, of softness, and it leaves a mark no camera could ever fully capture. On the opposite end of the world, in the heart of Patagonia, lies a hidden gem of unparalleled beauty, Cueva de las Manos, the Cave of Hands. Tucked away in a remote canyon in Argentina, this prehistoric site holds some of the most astonishing ancient artwork ever discovered. Handprints, painted in red, black, yellow, and white, cover the rock walls, left behind by indigenous people over 9,000 years ago. Standing before these ghostly imprints, one cannot help but feel the presence of those who came before. The hands, stenciled with natural pigments, seem frozen in time, whispering of long-lost rituals, stories, and beliefs. Among the handprints are depictions of guanacos, abstract symbols, and hunting scenes, offering a glimpse into the lives of the earliest inhabitants of Patagonia. The surrounding landscape, A barren expanse of cliffs and scrubland only adds to the feeling of stepping into an ancient, sacred space, one where history lingers in every crack and crevice. From the painted caves of Argentina, we traveled to the depths of the Pacific, where the Yonaguni Monument lies hidden beneath the ocean's surface. Off the coast of Japan's Yonaguni Island, massive stone formations rise from the seabed. Their perfectly cut steps, terraces, and angular edges defying natural explanation. Some believe these underwater structures are the remnants of an ancient, lost civilization, perhaps even the fabled Atlantis, while others argue they are the result of natural geological processes. Diving into the clear, blue waters, the scale of the Yonaguni Monument becomes apparent. Towering stone platforms, staircases, and symmetrical ridges stretch across the ocean floor, their sharp lines contrasting with the surrounding coral and marine life. Schools of fish dart through the submerged corridors, and the occasional hammerhead shark glides silently overhead. Whether carved by human hands or the work of nature, the Yonaguni Monument remains an enigma, one that invites speculation, wonder, and a deep respect for the mysteries that lie beneath the sea. Off the coast of Australia, the pink waters of Lake Hillier rest in stark contrast to the deep blue of the surrounding ocean. The color is so vivid it seems painted, an opaque rose hue that doesn't change even when scooped into a glass. Encircled by white salt crusts and lush green forest, the lake looks almost unreal, like an artist's vision of a dream world. The air is fresh with the scent of eucalyptus from the nearby trees, and seabirds wheel overhead in lazy arcs. The stillness of the water is absolute, a perfectly smooth mirror that seems to guard the secret of its own impossible color. In the icy wilderness of Canada's Alberta province, Abraham Lake comes alive in winter with fields of frozen bubbles trapped beneath its glassy surface. Methane rising from the lakebed forms perfect white spheres, suspended in layers within the crystal-clear ice. The wind sweeps across the frozen expanse, howling between the surrounding peaks, yet the beauty here is delicate, each bubble a fragile time capsule, holding a breath from the depths below. The sunlight catches on the ice, sending sparks of light racing across the surface as you walk. It feels like crossing a frozen sky, with stars suspended under your feet instead of above your head. In the highlands of central Madagascar, far from the beaten paths and bustling coasts, there exists a place so extraordinary it defies logic and expectation: Tsingy de Bemaraha National Park. Here, the earth itself seems to rise in defiance of gravity. Thousands upon thousands of sharp limestone pinnacles, called tsingy, pierce the sky like a petrified forest of stone blades. Seen from above, the landscape resembles an ancient maze, as if giants carved their will into the crust of the world. Beneath the razor-sharp towers lies an ecosystem so unique, so sheltered by its own geological armor, that species exist here found nowhere else on Earth. Lemurs leap between the narrow ridges, their silhouettes dancing against the setting sun. Rare birds glide between the spires, their calls echoing through the labyrinth of stone. Even the trees seem to cling to life with a fierce tenacity, growing sideways from vertical cliffs, roots wound tightly in the smallest cracks. Traversing the Tsingy is no ordinary hike, it's an expedition. Suspended walkways stretch across gorges, metal ladders cling to walls like scaffolds, and every step must be careful, deliberate, reverent. The air is dry, clean, infused with the scent of dust and life surviving against the odds. This place was forged in time's furnace, shaped by water and wind and patience beyond comprehension. To walk among the Tsingy is to stand inside the bones of the earth itself, ancient, eternal, and watching. Concealed by jungle and forgotten by maps, the village of Batu Tumongga perches high on the slopes of Mount Sesian in the Tanah Toraja region of Sulawesi, Indonesia. Here, the clouds don't float above you, they wrap around your feet. Rice terraces spill down the mountain in intricate green spirals, glistening with morning dew like a dragon's scales in the first light of day. But the true magic lies in the culture that has flourished, hidden among the trees and stones. Elaborately carved Tongkonan houses, with their sweeping roofs shaped like ships' hulls, rise from the mist like relics of a skybound civilization. Beneath them, buffalo graze quietly, considered sacred and eternal companions in the Torajan afterlife. Stone graves are carved into sheer cliffs, and effigies known as Tau Tau stand guard. Wooden figures of the dead watching over the living with calm, eternal eyes. When the clouds part, the view is celestial. A valley suspended between earth and heaven, untouched by the grasp of modernity. And as night falls, the village doesn't fade. It transforms. Lanterns flicker in the trees, and chants echo from the hills, mingling with the hum of insects and the slow strum of distant gongs. Batu Tumongga is not just a place. It's a veil lifted between worlds, a realm where spirits walk with the living, and every stone carries a soul. Veiled behind the rugged coastlines of southern Italy, high above the Amalfi crowds and far from the polished beaches, lies the wild, weather-beaten village of Civita di Bagnoregio. Balanced on a cliff of eroding volcanic rock and reachable only by a footbridge suspended in the sky, this tiny hamlet appears like an apparition, isolated, improbable, hauntingly beautiful. As you approach, the bridge feels less like a path and more like a portal, carrying you through time. The village itself is a tangle of ivy-cloaked stone, arched walkways, and crooked alleyways that bloom with wildflowers in spring and glow amber under the setting sun. Every brick bears the weight of centuries. Bells ring faintly from a weathered church tower, echoing across the vast canyon that surrounds the village like a protective moat carved by time itself. On misty mornings, Civita seems to levitate, its foundations hidden by clouds, its outline blurred like a dream half remembered. Life here is slow, deliberate. Locals tend to gardens that hang from crumbling balconies. Children chase cats through quiet lanes. There are no cars, no shops that glitter. Only the sound of your footsteps on ancient stone and the distant rustle of olive trees leaning into the breeze. Civita doesn't offer escape. It offers remembrance of what it means to live lightly, in tune with beauty, perched at the very edge of the world. Crystal-clear waters of Croatia's Plitvice Lakes National Park, a paradise of cascading waterfalls and emerald pools hidden within a pristine forest. This UNESCO World Heritage Site is a symphony of flowing water, where 16 interconnected lakes spill into one another through a series of waterfalls, creating a landscape of breathtaking beauty. Walking along wooden pathways suspended above the water, visitors are surrounded by nature's artistry. The lakes change color throughout the day, shifting between shades of turquoise, deep blue, and emerald green, depending on the minerals and sunlight. Waterfalls crash down limestone cliffs, sending fine mist into the air, while fish glide lazily beneath the surface. In the stillness of the forest, the only sounds are the whisper of flowing water and the rustling of leaves. A peaceful retreat where time seems to slow, and the wonders of nature unfold with quiet elegance. Venturing from the desert to the depths of the ocean, We now arrive at the eerie and mesmerizing Green Lake of Austria. Unlike any other lake in the world, this body of water appears and disappears with the seasons. In winter, it is little more than a shallow pond surrounded by alpine meadows. But as the snow on the surrounding mountains melts in spring, the water level rises dramatically, submerging the entire valley, including trees, benches, and walking paths, beneath crystal-clear water. Diving into Green Lake during its peak is like exploring an underwater fairy tale. Sunken park benches sit in perfect stillness, while fish swim between submerged tree trunks. The lake bed, once a grassy meadow, remains intact beneath the water, giving the illusion of a drowned world preserved in a perfect, glassy state. By late summer, the water recedes once more, leaving behind nothing but a dry valley, as if the lake had never existed at all. High in the remote Altai mountains of Mongolia, where the winds whisper through endless valleys and the sky stretches in an unbroken expanse of blue, lies the eerily beautiful valley of the Kurgan and Khotan lakes. This untouched wilderness, surrounded by snow-capped peaks and ancient petroglyphs carved into stone, is one of the most pristine landscapes on Earth. The twin lakes, fed by glacial meltwater, glow in shades of aquamarine, reflecting the dramatic scenery that encircles them. Nomadic Kazakh herders, who have lived in this harsh yet stunning environment for centuries, still traverse these lands with their eagle hunting traditions intact. Golden eagles, trained from a young age, sit perched on their handlers' arms, their sharp eyes scanning the horizon for prey. At sunrise, when the mist clings to the surface of the lakes and the first golden light spills over the mountaintops, the valley feels suspended in time, an unspoiled world where nature and tradition exist in perfect harmony. From the frozen in Japan's Toyama Bay, the shoreline comes alive at night with the ghostly glow of firefly squid. The water shimmers in electric blue, each tiny creature pulsing with bioluminescence as they gather in massive shoals. Waves carry the light in rhythmic motion, making it seem as though the sea itself is breathing with a luminous soul. The air is cool and tinged with salt, the night so dark that the glowing water becomes the only horizon. It's a scene that feels almost impossible, a meeting of ocean and starlight on the surface of the earth, lasting only for a fleeting season each year. Standing here, you feel both witness and intruder to a secret performance in the dark. Deep within the forests of Croatia, Plitvice lakes cascade into one another in a chain of turquoise and emerald steps. Water spills over moss-covered rocks, fanning into veils of white mist that catch the sunlight in fleeting rainbows. Wooden boardwalks wind across the surface of the lakes, carrying you just inches above their crystalline depths. Schools of fish drift lazily in the shadows, while the steady hum of falling water wraps you in its gentle rhythm. Each lake seems more vivid than the last, as though color itself is more saturated here. In the cool shade of overhanging trees, the air feels alive with moisture, and every breath tastes of green and flowing life. Deep in the Aegean, far from Santorini's sunsets and Mykonos's glamour, lies the island of Amorgos, where cliffs dive into sapphire seas and time bends to the rhythm of waves. This forgotten jewel of the Cyclades doesn't beckon. It waits, quiet and confident in its own mystery. Narrow trails meander through hillsides thick with thyme and oregano. Whitewashed villages cling to the mountains, their alleyways echoing with silence and the occasional bell from a wandering goat. The jewel of the island is the Hozoviotissa Monastery, improbably carved into the side of a sheer cliff, its blinding white facade peering over the vastness of the sea. To reach it, You climb steps carved from stone, the wind growing stronger with each step. Inside, the air is thick with incense and stillness. Icons gaze down from ancient wooden panels, and oil lamps flicker like stars in a sacred night. Below, the beaches of Agia Ana and Muros await, unspoiled and wild. The sea here is a shade of blue that doesn't seem possible, electric and deep, like the eye of some ancient deity. Days here dissolve into sun and salt, and nights wrap you in skies pierced with constellations. Amorgos doesn't dazzle in the conventional sense. It whispers, enchants, and anchors you. It is a place for those who seek not noise, but meaning. A true hidden sanctuary adrift in the eternal cradle of the sea. Floating like a dream in the Indian Ocean, but long forgotten by even the most seasoned wanderers, lies the island of Socotra. Part of Yemen, yet alien to every known coastline, it feels less like land and more like the afterimage of a star that fell into the sea. Here, everything is strange. Everything is alive in ways you didn't think were possible. The dragon blood trees stretch toward the sky with canopies like inverted umbrellas, casting patterned shadows on the red sand. Their bark weeps crimson sap, said to be both sacred and curative, glowing like rubies in the sun. The sand dunes are bone white and silent, rolling toward beaches of cobalt and jade, where cliffs plunge into waters so clear you can see the shimmer of parrotfish darting between coral kingdoms below. Caves filled with ancient carvings echo with the voices of lost tribes, and salt flats shimmer like glass as mirages dance in the midday heat. At night, the stars open like a scroll across the sky, uninterrupted by city glow. Just you and the cosmos, separated only by breath. And the air, it smells of frankincense, sea salt, and myths. Socotra is not simply a destination, it's another planet hidden on our own, an echo of Earth's forgotten wonders still alive and blooming in isolation. High in the Andes of northern Peru, above a sea of clouds and jungle-wrapped cliffs, the fortress of Cuelap rises like a stone crown atop the mountain. Built by the Chachapoya civilization, older than the Incas and nearly as mysterious, this walled city is wrapped in moss, mystery, and mist. It is larger than Machu Picchu, yet barely known. The walls are monstrous, some 30 feet high, formed from blocks of limestone so large it seems impossible they were lifted by human hands. The silence here is thick, broken only by the cry of eagles gliding in wide circles above the treetops. Inside the fortress, circular stone houses crumble gently into the grass, their foundations still etched with geometric symbols of power, sun, and spirit. Trees grow from the ancient stone, roots curling down walls like time itself reclaiming its throne. Fog rolls in often, wrapping Cuelap in a soft shroud that makes every step feel like a passage through memory. Orchids grow wild, and hummingbirds hover like living sparks above them. There is no fanfare, no entry gates, no tourist chatter, only the weight of forgotten stories in every stone. Standing at the summit, looking out over the river canyons and jungle lowlands below, one feels less like a visitor and more like a ghost drifting through the remnants of a kingdom time chose to veil. Descending from the heights of the Alps, we now step into the endless grasslands of Mongolia, where a natural spectacle known as the Flaming Cliffs illuminates the vast desert landscape. Officially called Bayan Zag, these sandstone cliffs glow an intense red under the setting sun, earning their fiery name. But it is not just their color that makes them extraordinary. These cliffs are one of the world's most significant fossil sites, home to some of the greatest dinosaur discoveries in history. It was here, in the 1920s, that paleontologists unearthed the first dinosaur eggs ever found, forever changing our understanding of prehistoric life. Even today, the cliffs continue to reveal secrets from the ancient past, their layers of rock holding the remains of creatures that roamed the earth millions of years ago. Walking along the sun-baked ridges, with the wind carrying whispers of the past, the sense of deep time is overwhelming. The flaming cliffs stand as a gateway to another era, a bridge between the world of today and the age of giants. Beneath the azure waters of the Indian Ocean, off the coast of Tanzania, lies a place where reality blurs into illusion. The submerged ruins of the so-called lost city of Kilwa Kisiwani. This ancient Swahili trading hub, once one of the richest and most powerful cities in Africa, has been slowly reclaimed by the sea over centuries. The remnants of grand palaces, coral stone mosques, and intricate courtyards now lie beneath the waves, their walls encrusted with marine life. Diving into the clear waters, the past comes alive in eerie silence. Sunlight filters through the surface, casting ghostly shadows over what was once a thriving metropolis. Schools of fish dart through doorways that once led to sultans' chambers, and sea turtles glide past crumbling archways covered in coral. Though partially submerged, parts of Kilwa Kisiwani still stand on land, including the Great Mosque, one of the oldest in sub-Saharan Africa. Exploring this lost city, whether above or below water, is like stepping into a forgotten chapter of history, where the whispers of merchants, explorers, and kings seem to echo through the ruins. Far beneath the hills of New Zealand, the Waitomo Ruakuri Cave twists into a labyrinth of crystal formations and echoing chambers. Stalactites drip in delicate points from the ceiling, while the walls shimmer with mineral deposits that glint under the light. The air is cool and damp, carrying the earthy scent of stone that has never felt the sun. Underground streams murmur in the darkness, winding their way through the cave's hidden heart. Walking here feels like entering the earth's own cathedral, where every drop of water has been shaping its beauty for countless lifetimes. In the coastal wilderness of Ireland, the Giant's Causeway sprawls in a honeycomb of perfect basalt columns. Each hexagonal stone fits seamlessly with the next, leading out into the sea like an unfinished road. Waves crash against the formation, sending sprays of salt water high into the air. The stones are slick and dark, yet warm under the touch of the sun, and their rhythmic pattern feels almost mathematical in its precision. Legends speak of giants building this path to cross the sea, and standing here, surrounded by the deep roar of the Atlantic, it's easy to believe the story might hold some truth. Hidden deep in the Peruvian Andes, draped in mystery and thick jungle mist, is a place many believe rivals Machu Picchu in both scale and wonder, but remains almost entirely unknown: Choqquequirao. Its name means cradle of gold, and walking through its stone terraces and ceremonial platforms feels like treading through the dreams of a forgotten empire. Unlike its famous sibling, Choqquequirao sees only a handful of visitors each day, and reaching it requires effort. A 2-day trek through steep valleys, across rivers and switchbacks that test resolve and reward with silence. And then, suddenly, the jungle parts. Massive agricultural terraces fan across the mountainside like emerald wings. Llama-shaped stone carvings stare out from mossy walls. Grand staircases, once used by Incan priests and messengers, rise toward the heavens. The ruins are alive with solitude. You can sit in the central plaza and hear only the rustle of wind through trees, the distant cry of hawks, the beating of your own heart. There is no fence, no tour group, no rush. Only you and the presence of something vast and sacred. At sunset, the site catches fire, stone and sky blending in a blaze of orange and purple. Choqquequirao isn't just a lost city. It's a living threshold into the soul of a civilization that still lingers in the shadows of the Andes. Tucked away in the dense, emerald jungle of Bohol in the Philippines lies the lesser-known twin of the famous Chocolate Hills, the Anda Peninsula. Unlike its more photographed sibling, this region exists in a whisper, hidden between the trees and brushed by the ocean. Here, limestone hills roll like a sea of green domes, rising softly from rice paddies and coconut groves, their symmetry almost too perfect to believe. But the magic of Anda isn't only in the hills, it's beneath them. Underground rivers and flooded caves snake beneath the surface, their waters illuminated in phosphorescent blues. You can wade through caverns lit only by shafts of light, breaking through cracks in the jungle above. Stalactites sparkle overhead, while the sounds of the forest filter in faintly through moss-covered stone. Above ground, white sand beaches arc into coves where no footprints mar the shore. Traditional outrigger boats bob lazily in turquoise water, and sea turtles drift through coral gardens just offshore. At sunset, the hills darken to molten bronze while fireflies shimmer in the palms like fallen stars. It's a place untouched by crowds, guarded by forest, ocean, and the hush of being forgotten. But in that quiet, a different kind of beauty blooms, one that doesn't shout, but sings softly to the soul. Far beyond the beaten trails of Morocco's Sahara, where the golden dunes stretch endlessly in hypnotic rhythm, lies a place untouched by the caravans of mass tourism. Erg Chigaga. Unlike the more popular Erg Chebi, Chigaga is vast, remote, and entirely untamed. You reach it not by road, but by trust, on camelback or four-wheel drive, guided by Berber nomads whose stories move with the wind. Here, the dunes rise like ocean waves, sculpted by centuries of wind, each crest catching fire with the changing light. By day, the sun paints the sand in layers of gold, rose, and burnished copper. At dusk, shadows stretch like poetry across the valleys, and at night, the sky erupts in galaxies. Thousands of stars smeared across an ink-black dome so clear it steals your breath. The silence is absolute. You can hear the soft whisper of sand grains shifting beneath your feet. There are no sounds but the desert's heartbeat. Nomad tents offer shelter, their woven fabrics fluttering like sails on an endless sea. Mint tea is poured with reverence, and stories are told by firelight, words drifting upward like sparks. Erg Chigaga is not a backdrop. It's a living presence, a timeless expanse where the world dissolves into light, wind, and awe. In the vast, golden expanse of the Sahara Desert, where the dunes stretch endlessly toward the horizon, a hidden spectacle emerges from the shifting sands. The Reshat structure, also known as the Eye of the Sahara. This massive circular geological formation in Mauritania is so large that it can only be fully appreciated from space, resembling a giant, swirling eye embedded in the desert floor. For years, scientists debated its origins, some believing it to be the remnants of an ancient meteor impact, while others theorized that it was once a volcanic dome eroded over time. Standing at the edge of the structure, the ridges spiral outward in perfect symmetry, their bands of rock revealing layers of Earth's ancient history. The sheer scale of the eye is mind-boggling, stretching over 40 kilometers in diameter, its concentric rings creating an almost hypnotic effect. Despite its remote location, the Richa structure has long been a point of fascination, not just for geologists, but also for those who believe it may have inspired the legend of Atlantis. Whether a natural wonder or a remnant of an ancient lost world, the Eye of the Sahara remains one of the planet's most enigmatic formations. Thousands of miles away, in the cold waters off the coast of Norway, another breathtaking phenomenon takes shape: the Saltstraumen maelstrom, the strongest tidal current on Earth. Every 6 hours, as the tides shift, massive volumes of water surge through a narrow strait, creating a furious whirlpool that churns with unimaginable power. The swirling vortexes, some reaching up to 10 meters in diameter, form as the seawater funnels through the passage, moving at speeds of up to 37 kilometers per hour. Approaching by boat, the experience is both exhilarating and terrifying. The water roars like a living beast, its spirals and eddies forming and vanishing in seconds. Fishermen, however, have long embraced the maelstrom, as it brings with it an abundance of fish, including cod and halibut, drawn to the nutrient-rich waters. To witness the Saltstraumen is to see the ocean at its most untamed, a reminder that even in our modern age, the forces of nature remain beyond human control. In Ethiopia's Danakil Depression, the world seems to defy every law of nature, becoming an alien tapestry stitched from fire, salt, and acid. Pools shimmer in shades of neon green and electric yellow, their surfaces bubbling with otherworldly energy. Steam vents exhale into the sky with ghostly precision, painting the horizon with shifting white columns. The ground itself is a crusted mosaic of crimson, ochre, and sulfuric white, crunching underfoot like brittle coral. Heat radiates from every direction, bending the air in shimmering waves, while the scent of minerals clings to your skin. Standing here is like watching the earth rehearse its first moments of existence, when oceans boiled and continents had not yet decided their shapes. It is beautiful and dangerous in equal measure, the kind of beauty that asks you to keep your distance even as it draws you closer. Deep in the South Pacific, Palau's Jellyfish Lake glows beneath the midday sun like a sapphire bowl filled with living stars. Millions of golden jellyfish drift silently, their translucent bells pulsing in a synchronized ballet. Sunbeams pierce the water, scattering in shimmering columns that illuminate the slow, hypnotic dance. You float among them, each movement careful, the water's warmth pressing gently against your skin. They brush past without harm, their delicate bodies more like moving light than living creatures. The silence is profound here, broken only by the sound of your own breathing, as if the lake itself has drawn a curtain between you and the rest of the world. It feels unreal, like swimming through a dream so fragile you fear waking up. Tucked along the turquoise embrace of the Adriatic Sea, yet hidden from the glamour of Croatia's coastal cities, lies the forgotten archipelago of Lastovo, a sanctuary of pine forests, crystalline coves, and whispering breezes. Lastovo is one of the most remote inhabited islands in the country, an emerald dot where the modern world retreats and nature reigns supreme. Time here stretches like the tides, slow and deliberate. The island's villages, stone-built and sun-washed, climb hillsides in a quiet elegance. Shuttered windows and curved chimneys nod to Venetian history, while the scent of rosemary and salt lingers in the alleys. The sea around Lastovo glows a spectral blue, so clear that you can watch the seabed ripple beneath your boat. It is a diver's dream, a sailor's escape, a poet's muse. Lastovo's crown jewel, however, is the starry sky. This island, protected as part of a nature park, boasts one of the darkest skies in all of Europe. When night falls, the heavens pour down an impossible brilliance. Constellations come alive, and the Milky Way stretches overhead in a luminous arc. It's as if the island's isolation is its gift, offering not only escape but communion. There are no crowds here, no noise, no need to hurry. Only you, the sea, the stars, and a silence so vast it feels like the earth itself exhaling. Lastovo isn't just hidden, it's sacred. Far away in the high deserts of Iran, where time appears to have folded into silence, sits the ghost village of Karanak, a place seemingly forgotten by the world but remembered by the earth. Its adobe towers and mud brick corridors melt into the ochre hills, forming a vision that feels more like an apparition than a destination. The wind here carries the warmth of the sun and the stories of the Silk Road. Cracked doorways open to courtyards swallowed by sand. Shadows move softly along stone arches and crumbling minarets that seem to defy gravity with their resilience. Every wall breathes history, and every crevice speaks of whispered prayers and ancient trades. The sky above stretches endlessly, a burning canvas of blue in daylight, and a vault of stars at night so vivid it silences thought. A stillness lingers here that bends time. It invites you to sit, to listen, to feel. Golden hour stretches forever in this place. Light pours like honey across the ruins, igniting every edge, warming every worn stone. It's not a museum, not a set. It's a living relic, quietly waiting beneath the desert sun, with nothing to offer but its truth and its raw, fragile beauty. Somewhere deep in the kingdom of Lesotho, cradled in the dragon-backed Maloti Mountains, lies the mountain village of Malialia. It is the sky's playground, where clouds skim mountaintops and horses gallop along ridgelines etched with eternity. The light here doesn't just fall, it soars, bursting through alpine passes and flooding green valleys with gold. Round stone huts with thatched roofs dot the landscape like beads on the thread of a forgotten song. Waterfalls cascade from unseen springs, plummeting into gorges laced with wildflowers. The silence here hums. It carries the weight of the wind and the rhythm of hooves. Herdsmen wrapped in colorful Basotho blankets lead their flocks along cliffs that defy the imagination. Stars blink awake in a sky untouched by artificial light, revealing constellations so crisp they seem close enough to stir with your breath. The trails are not paved. The stories here are not written. They are sung, carried on the wind, in the voices of those who've lived with the land for generations. It is a place not of spectacle but of soul, where beauty doesn't demand your gaze. It humbles you into reverence. In the heart of Venezuela, a land forgotten by time rises above the dense jungle canopy, Mount Roraima, a colossal tabletop mountain that seems to float above the clouds. This ancient tepui, one of the oldest geological formations on Earth, is a realm of strange and wondrous beauty. Sheer cliffs, nearly 400 meters high, enclose the summit, making it appear as an impenetrable fortress sculpted by the gods. The journey to the top is arduous, requiring days of trekking through thick rainforest, across rushing rivers, and up steep rock faces slick with mist. But those who reach the summit are rewarded with a landscape unlike any other. Atop Roraima, the world feels alien. The ground is a jigsaw of blackened stone, eroded into bizarre shapes over millions of years. Deep sinkholes and cavernous pits hide secrets from an ancient past, while twisted rock formations take on shapes so surreal they resemble something from another planet. Water pools in natural basins, their still surfaces reflecting the ever-changing sky. Strange carnivorous plants thrive in this nutrient-poor soil, their vibrant green leaves contrasting against the dark, weathered stone. Mist rolls over the edge like a living entity, hiding and revealing the landscape in a ghostly dance. It is easy to see why this place inspired Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. Standing atop Roraima feels like stepping back in time, into a land untouched by modern hands. Far from the misty heights of Venezuela, the pristine waters of the Philippines conceal another of the Earth's breathtaking wonders, the Enchanted River. Hidden deep within the jungles of Mindanao, this narrow, sapphire-blue waterway seems almost unreal, its clarity so perfect that the riverbed is visible even at great depths. The water shifts from pale turquoise near the edges to an impossibly deep blue at its center, as if an artist had painted it with a brush dipped in the sky itself. No one knows exactly how deep the Enchanted River is, as divers have yet to reach its true bottom. Locals speak of its supernatural origins, believing that spirits guard the waters, preventing anyone from fully uncovering its secrets. At noon, something extraordinary happens. The river undergoes a transformation as schools of fish, large and small, emerge from the depths in a synchronized display. It is as if the river itself has called them forth, their shimmering bodies flashing in the sunlight. Moments later, the water turns eerily still, as if the river breathes in before exhaling life once more. Swimming here is a dreamlike experience. The water, cool and pure, embraces those who enter, its depths whispering of mysteries yet to be discovered. In the highlands of Ethiopia, the Simien Mountains tear the horizon with dramatic ridges and jagged peaks. Deep valleys cut through the land like great scars, their slopes cloaked in golden grass that sways in the wind. The air here is thin and bracing, carrying the distant cry of birds of prey circling overhead. Clouds sweep low across the plateaus, casting shadows that race across the ground. The landscape feels ancient and untamed, a place where the bones of the world lie exposed to the sky. Standing at the edge of a cliff, the drop beneath you seems to fall away into infinity, and the wind feels like it carries the stories of the earth itself. In the archipelago of Raja Ampat, Indonesia, the ocean blooms with color in every direction. Coral gardens stretch into the blue, alive with darting fish, swaying anemones, and the slow, deliberate movement of sea turtles. Above the surface, jagged limestone islets rise from turquoise lagoons, their slopes draped in lush vegetation. The water is so clear that sunlight dances on the seabed far below, shifting with the rhythm of the waves. This is a realm where life feels amplified. Each movement, each color, each sound magnified by the purity of its surroundings. Drifting here, you feel like a part of the ocean's own pulse. Beneath the dense jungles of central Laos, along the sleepy banks of the Nam Hinbun River, lies a cave so vast, it has its own weather system. Kong Lor Cave, or Tam Kong Lo, is one of Southeast Asia's most astonishing natural wonders, a cathedral of stone buried in the heart of the mountains. For years, it remained a secret, spoken of in hushed tones by locals who believed spirits lived within its depths. To enter Kong Lor is to drift into the bones of the earth. A narrow wooden boat carries you into the black mouth of the cave, lanterns casting trembling shadows on the soaring walls. The darkness here is complete, so deep it seems to swallow sound. But then the cave opens, and opens, and opens. For over 7 kilometers, the river carves its way through an underground kingdom. The ceilings stretch 100 feet above. Stalactites hang like frozen daggers, and hidden alcoves reveal chambers glittering with calcite formations that glow like moonstone in the lamplight. Occasionally, the guides stop and switch off the engines. Silence reigns. You are floating in a cavern that predates civilization, surrounded by walls shaped by patience and water. And when you emerge on the other side, blinking into sunlight, it feels like rebirth. Few places on Earth so perfectly embody the sensation of discovering another world. Kong Lor is not just a cave. It is an initiation into mystery, a descent into the deep quiet of geologic time, and a journey you carry within forever. High above the Arctic Circle, beyond the reach of roads or noise or time, lies the untouched fjord of Kvænangen in Norway. It is not marked on many travel itineraries, and yet it possesses a silence so profound, it echoes in the soul. Midnight sun sets the water ablaze in summer, turning the sky into molten gold and the mirrored sea into a gallery of fire. Jagged mountains rise like frozen titans, their faces carved by millennia of ice and wind. Reindeer tread carefully across mossy cliffs, leaving delicate prints in patches of snow that never fully melt. In winter, the world here vanishes into indigo stillness. The aurora borealis dances with impossible grace, pulsing ribbons of green and violet that undulate like breath made visible. Fishing villages huddle along the water's edge, their red and yellow cabins lit by the flicker of stoves inside. But beyond them, deeper into the fjord, the world folds in on itself. No signs, no paths, just the raw cathedral of nature's design. Here, the light is slower, the silence deeper, the beauty so severe it hushes thought. It is the kind of place you don't discover, you surrender to it. Hidden within the folds of the Japanese Alps, a hidden village slumbers beneath a thatched roof of snow. Shirakawa-go is not a mirage, though it feels like a memory carved into the edge of time. Thatched gassho zukuri houses, shaped like hands pressed together in prayer, dot the valley like ancient charms laid carefully into the land. In winter, snow falls thick and slow, burying the village in a white so pure it glows beneath the moon. Smoke curls from chimneys as if from the lips of old spirits. Inside, warm light glows from paper lanterns and old wood crackles in fire pits. Water from mountain springs flows through narrow channels, undisturbed for centuries. During twilight, the world softens. Shadows stretch gently across rice paddies dusted with frost, and the air holds a stillness that whispers of monks, lullabies, and lost tales. Fireflies flicker in the warmer months, dancing like forgotten souls above the fields. No billboards, no wires overhead, no distant highways humming. Only the lullaby of wind across rooftops and the heartbeat of the mountains wrapped around it all. To walk its paths is to slip into an old dream, one too delicate for the modern world. Frozen landscapes, we dive into the cerulean depths of the Indian Ocean, where the glowing shores of Vadhu Island in the Maldives transform the night into a celestial dream. Here, the sea itself comes alive with an ethereal radiance, as billions of bioluminescent plankton light up the waves with an electric blue glow. Each movement, a footstep in the wet sand, a hand trailing through the water, triggers a burst of luminescence, as if the stars themselves have fallen into the ocean. This phenomenon, known as Sea of Stars, occurs due to the natural defense mechanism of the plankton, which emit light when disturbed. Wading into the glowing waves at night is an experience that feels almost supernatural, a surreal merging of sky and sea, where every splash sends ripples of light cascading across the surface. The illusion is so perfect, so otherworldly, that it is easy to believe one has stepped into a realm beyond Earth, where the boundaries between reality and dream blur into one. Half a world away, in the depths of South America's Andean foothills, a hidden world of color reveals itself, Vinicunca, the Rainbow Mountain of Peru. Rising nearly 5,200 meters above sea level, this striking geological wonder appears as if painted by the hands of the gods themselves. Stripes of red, yellow, turquoise, and lavender sweep across the mountain's ridges, a result of mineral deposits oxidizing over millions of years. Reaching the summit of Vinicunca is no easy feat. The high altitude and thin air make the ascent a challenge, testing the endurance of even the most experienced trekkers. Yet, those who make the climb are rewarded with an awe-inspiring panorama, an alien-like landscape of rolling, multicolored peaks stretching toward the horizon. The wind whistles through the valleys, carrying the sound of distant herds of alpacas and the occasional Andean condor soaring high above. To stand atop Rainbow Mountain is to witness the Earth's hidden artistry, a masterpiece painted over millennia by the forces of time, wind, and rain. From the towering in the jungles of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, the Iquil cenote opens like a window into the underworld. Vines cascade from the rim down to the circular pool, their green tendrils swaying gently in the humid air. Sunlight filters through the opening, scattering gold across the water's deep blue surface. Small fish dart in the shadows, and the sound of droplets falling from the walls creates a rhythm that echoes through the cavern. Swimming here feels like being wrapped in a natural cathedral, with the open sky above and the cool, mysterious depths below. The air is thick with the scent of wet stone and the breath of the jungle beyond. In the far reaches of northern Russia, the Lena Pillars rise from the banks of the Lena River like the ruins of a forgotten fortress. Towering spires of stone stretch hundreds of feet into the sky, their jagged edges softened by centuries of frost and wind. The river winds slowly at their base, its mirrored surface reflecting every sharp peak and shadow. In the stillness of early morning, mist coils around the pillars, blurring the line between rock and sky. The air is sharp with cold, and every sound, water lapping, ice cracking, feels amplified in the solitude. It's a place that seems carved not by nature, but by some deliberate and ancient hand. In the snow-draped silence of the Altai Mountains, at the crossroads of Mongolia, Kazakhstan, and Russia, lies a landscape so profound in its solitude that it seems untouched by the passage of time. Lake Khoton. Cradled by larch forests and ringed by golden steppe, the lake glimmers like a mirror to the sky. Its surface so still, you can see the clouds journey across it with perfect clarity. Nomadic families still move with the seasons here, their yurts speckled across the horizon like pearls scattered in the grasslands. Yaks graze at the lake's edge, their reflections caught in the water, while eagles soar overhead, wings stretched wide like banners of freedom. There are no roads that lead here easily, only winding tracks over passes and rivers, only effort rewarded by wonder. When the wind stirs, the lake sighs. When it sleeps, the silence is so complete it humbles. At dawn, mist drapes the land like silk, and the mountains blush with light. In summer, wildflowers bloom in brilliant defiance of the cold, painting the shore in bursts of violet and gold. There are few places left in the world where one can feel so entirely alone and so entirely at peace. Lake Khoton is not a destination. It's a threshold to something older, deeper, and infinitely still. In the wild heart of Albania, far from the crowded Adriatic shores and modern rhythms of Tirana, lies the Valley of Theth, an untouched expanse of emerald forests, glacial peaks, and timeless stone. Approaching Theth feels like falling into a fable whispered by the mountains themselves. Ancient beech trees arch overhead, like sentinels of forgotten myths. The path winds along the Shala River, its waters a surreal turquoise, gliding over polished rock like melted sapphire. Jagged cliffs rise abruptly, slicing into the sky with primeval defiance, dusted with snow even in the soft breath of spring. The village appears almost by accident, its stone houses and slate roofs tucked beneath towering peaks like a secret preserved in silence. The Kula, a centuries-old blood-feud tower, stands as both relic and reminder of a world where honor and survival once walked hand in hand. Horses roam freely, their manes tangled by mountain wind. Even the air is different here. Crisp, pine-laced, charged with the breath of glaciers. Waterfalls tumble from cliffs as if the earth is weeping with awe. The light shifts with mystery. Sunbeams streak through cloud gaps like divine whispers. You don't find Theth on a schedule. It finds you when you're ready to listen and ready to feel what raw beauty truly means. Tucked beneath a veil of mist and mystery, Mount Roraima stands like a dream that forgot it belonged to this world. Nestled at the intersection of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, this tabletop mountain rises from the jungle like the remnant of an ancient god's forgotten throne. Its cliffs drop vertically for over 1,300 feet, an unscalable wall of stone that disappears into clouds. Above, the summit is a land unto itself, alien, prehistoric, impossibly surreal. Rain falls sideways, caught by gusts of wind that spiral around the plateau like wild spirits. The rocks are dark and cragged, shaped into forms that defy reason, mushroom-like towers, endless crevices, natural labyrinths. Pools of pure rainwater mirror the gray skies, while strange plants, some found nowhere else on Earth, cling to life on the rocky surface. Frogs no bigger than a fingernail leap between puddles, their bright colors glinting in the gloom. The summit is often shrouded in cloud, and when it parts, the view is unlike anything imaginable. A sea of green stretching endlessly, broken only by the occasional silhouette of another Tepue, rising like a forgotten fortress. The journey here is not easy. It is earned. But once atop Roraima, you feel like an intruder in Eden, standing on a page ripped from the planet's first chapter. From the icy landscapes of Canada, we journey to the heart of Africa, where an ancient rock formation defies gravity, Lias Gil, Somalia. Hidden away in the arid wilderness, this remarkable site is home to some of the oldest rock art in the world, painted by unknown hands over 5,000 years ago. The caves and rock shelters, nestled beneath an overhanging cliff, are adorned with vibrant images of long-horned cattle, human figures, and mysterious symbols, their colors preserved in astonishing clarity. Stepping into Las Gil is like stepping back in time, into the world of an ancient civilization that once thrived in this now harsh environment. The paintings tell a story of life in a time when the land was fertile and teeming with wildlife. Red, ochre, and yellow pigments still cling to the rock, untouched by the centuries, a testament to the craftsmanship and culture of a lost people. Unlike many famous archaeological sites, Lias Gil remains relatively unknown, its solitude adding to the sense of sacredness. Here, among the echoes of an ancient past, one cannot help but feel the weight of history pressing against the present. Half a world away, beneath the pristine waters of the Yucatan Peninsula, lies a hidden labyrinth of caves known as the Sistema Sac Actun. This vast underground river system, stretching over 215 miles, is the longest submerged cave network on the planet. A world of unimaginable beauty beneath the surface. Diving into its depths, One enters a silent realm where time seems to have paused. Stalactites and stalagmites, formed over millennia, hang like frozen chandeliers from the ceiling, their delicate structures mirrored in the still, crystal-clear water. The cave walls glow with an otherworldly light as shafts of sunlight pierce through openings in the jungle floor above, illuminating chambers filled with water so clear it seems invisible. Hidden within this underwater labyrinth, archaeologists have discovered ancient human remains and artifacts, suggesting that these caves were once used as sacred sites by the Maya. The sensation of swimming through these silent corridors is both exhilarating and humbling, a reminder that even beneath the surface, the earth. Far north in Norway, the Lofoten Islands rise from the Arctic waters like jagged emeralds wrapped in snow. Sharp peaks pierce low clouds, their black rock faces softened by the pale glow of the midnight sun. Fishing villages cling to sheltered bays, their red cabins mirrored in water so still it seems painted on glass. In winter, the sky comes alive in waves of green and violet light, the aurora dancing in slow arcs that seem to answer the call of the sea. The air is sharp with salt and pine, and every direction feels like a window into a painting that could not possibly be real. It's a place where wildness is never tamed, where beauty doesn't simply exist, it rules. Beneath the shadow of towering granite cliffs in Namibia, the desert floor opens into the blood-red expanse of Deadvlei. Against the cracked white clay pan, skeletal camelthorn trees stand like blackened sculptures, frozen in place for over 900 years. The surrounding dunes rise like molten waves, their crests igniting in fiery orange at sunrise before fading into deep, cool shadows. The silence here is absolute. No rustle of leaves, no murmur of water, only the dry breath of the desert itself. Every step sends a faint echo across the basin, as if the land remembers every footfall. The air carries a stillness so heavy it feels sacred, a reminder that beauty can endure long after life has gone. The wind sighs softly through the dense emerald canopy above, where morning mist clings to the moss-covered trunks like nature's veil. Deep in the remote heart of Colombia lies a realm that feels almost imagined. Caño Cristales, the river of 5 colors. Hidden away in the Serranía de la Macarena National Park, this otherworldly waterway defies all expectations. From July through November, the river transforms into a surreal canvas of reds, yellows, greens, blues, and blacks. Not from minerals nor dyes, but from an aquatic plant known as Macarenia clavigera, which blooms in vivid glory beneath the crystal-clear waters. As the sunlight filters down and dances along the river's gentle ripples, the colors shimmer with each movement, shifting like a living kaleidoscope. Rocky outcroppings, sculpted by millennia of flowing water, form natural pools and channels, their surfaces carved and pocked like the terrain of another planet. The silence here is profound, interrupted only by the soft splash of water or the call of a distant bird echoing through the jungle. It's a place where you don't just witness nature, you feel its heartbeat. There are no sprawling resorts or manicured pathways here, only raw, untouched beauty, accessible only by a short flight and a journey on foot, horse, and riverboat. Each step draws you further from civilization and closer to something timeless. This isn't just a destination, it's a living miracle etched into the rainforest floor, a place that must be seen to be believed, and even then, still feels like a dream. In the volcanic heart of Vanuatu, hidden deep within the remote island of Ombrim, a pair of lava lakes burn day and night, eternal, glowing scars that pulse with the rhythm of the Earth's molten heart. The path to them winds through dense, almost primeval jungle, where the air is heavy with moisture and the calls of birds unknown to science echo between giant tree ferns. As the forest gives way to barren ash plains, the world turns monochrome: black, silver, smoke gray. The Maroom and Benbow craters rise like forgotten altars, their edges scorched and jagged. At their centers, the lava roils and churns, its surface breaking into waves of fire, crashing and folding in endless violence. The heat sears the air. The smoke burns the throat. Yet it is impossible to look away. Standing at the edge of this inferno feels mythic, like staring into the eye of some slumbering titan. The wind howls across the barren plain. Ash sticks to your skin. Time loses meaning in the face of such elemental fury. Few places on Earth let you witness the planet's living core without filter or barrier. Here, in the fiery lungs of Ambrim, you remember what it means to feel awe, not just admiration, but reverent, primal awe. In the deepest fold of the Carpathian Mountains, cloaked in the velvet greens of old-growth forest, the Apuseni cave system lies buried beneath the soil, like a secret whispered by the earth itself. This hidden realm in western Romania is not charted by neon signs or paved roads. It's sensed, known by few, and spoken of like a myth. You enter through a narrow mouth in the mountain, stepping into a world untouched by time. Inside, the air changes. It thickens. It hushes. Light from your torch glints off wet walls of limestone, revealing cathedral-like chambers where nature sculpts with shadows and silence. Stalactites drip slowly, almost imperceptibly, like clocks counting toward infinity. Underground rivers weave through the rock, so clear they seem invisible, and when your lamp catches their current, it shimmers like liquid glass. There's a chamber they call the Crystal Hall, where mineral formations sparkle across the stone like frost under moonlight, suspended mid-bloom in an eternal winter. Bats stir overhead, silent guardians of this unseen empire. This is not a cave you conquer. It is one you enter with reverence, moving slowly, speaking softly, your own breath echoing back at you like a ghost. In Apuseni, the world above feels like an illusion, and down here in this dripping, glimmering underworld, the earth shows you what it's been hiding all along. From the scorching deserts of Arabia, we descend into the lush jungles of Guyana, where a waterfall of unparalleled majesty thunders into the depths below. Kayatur Falls. Hidden within one of the most pristine rainforests on Earth, this waterfall is nearly 5 times taller than Niagara Falls, yet remains almost completely untouched by tourism. The sheer volume of water cascading over the edge is staggering, creating a constant roar that echoes through the jungle. Approaching Kayatur Falls is an experience of pure exhilaration. The mist rises in thick clouds, nourishing the dense greenery that clings to the cliffs. Brilliantly colored parrots and golden frogs, found nowhere else in the world, thrive in the ecosystem surrounding the falls. The power of nature is overwhelming here, unbridled and untamed, a reminder that in some corners of the world, wilderness still reigns supreme. Standing at the edge, looking down into the abyss, one cannot help but feel a sense of insignificance against the backdrop of such raw, natural power. Beyond the rainforests of South America, on the sun-baked plains of Australia, another marvel unfolds: the Pinnacles Desert. Here, thousands of limestone pillars rise from the golden sands like ancient monoliths, their shapes weathered by time and erosion. Some stand tall like silent sentinels, while others twist into bizarre formations, their shadows stretching across the dunes in the fading light. Walking through the pinnacles feels like stepping into a landscape sculpted by another era. The silence is profound, disturbed only by the whisper of the wind shifting the sand. As the sun sets, the entire desert transforms, the limestone pillars casting long, eerie silhouettes against the deepening hues of the sky. The pinnacles are more than just rock formations. They are nature's sculptures, shaped over millions of years, standing as silent witnesses to the passage of time. In the deserts of Bolivia, the Salar de Uyuni transforms under the touch of rain into an infinite mirror. The horizon vanishes as sky and earth melt into one seamless reflection. Clouds drift beneath your feet as much as they do above your head, and every step feels like you're walking through another realm entirely. The air is so pure and still that sound barely exists. Your footsteps are swallowed instantly into the shimmering expanse. When the sun sets, the glassy surface becomes a portal into the cosmos, with stars blooming across the ground as vividly as in the heavens. This is not a place for mere sightseeing. It is a place where perception itself bends, where the idea of up and down loses all meaning, leaving only the infinite. Hidden in the forests of New Zealand, the Waitomo glowworm caves unfold in a quiet, living darkness. The river that threads through these limestone chambers moves slow and sure, reflecting pinpricks of blue-green light that seem suspended in midair. Glowworms cling to the ceilings like tiny constellations, their silken threads invisible until a stray ripple catches the faint glow. The cavern air is cool and still, holding the smell of wet stone and ancient earth. Your boat drifts without sound, carried by the water's own patience, as the walls press close in hushed reverence. This is the kind of beauty that doesn't shout. It breathes in whispers, wrapping you in a darkness that feels infinite yet warm, with stars close enough to touch. High in the cloud-kissed mountains of northern Vietnam, there exists a village draped in fog and folklore, a place where the land seems suspended between myth and reality. Hoang Su Phi. Far removed from the flow of modern tourism, this remote district in Ha Giang province is a revelation of ancient culture and surreal beauty. Here, the land folds into waves of emerald rice terraces, curved and layered like the rings of a sleeping dragon. Each step carved into the hillside by generations past is an ode to patience and harmony with the earth. When dawn breaks, the entire valley becomes a watercolor dream. The terraces shimmer with dew, reflecting pink skies and drifting clouds, as if the heavens have stooped to rest upon the fields. During harvest, the greens turn to gold, and the mountains glow as if lit from within. The air is crisp, pure, tinged with wood smoke and the soft aroma of growing rice. Hmong and Red Dao villagers, adorned in vibrant traditional garments, tend to their fields or walk narrow trails, their presence part of the rhythm of this enchanted place. It is not just the views that linger in memory, but the quiet dignity of life here, rooted, resilient, and untouched by haste. Trekking through Hoang Su Phi means wandering through time. You cross footbridges over whispering rivers, climb ridges where wild orchids bloom, and at night, under a sky littered with stars, you realize that this hidden sanctuary holds something the modern world has forgotten. The elegance of living slowly, deeply, and in tune with the breath of the mountains. Hidden deep within the gorges of Kyrgyzstan, where emerald valleys slice through ancient peaks like the strokes of a giant's chisel, the Sari Chelik Biosphere Reserve unfolds in absolute silence. This alpine sanctuary remains almost entirely unknown outside Central Asia, a mosaic of mirrored lakes, cedar forests, and snow-capped ridges that cradle 1,000 shades of green. The heart of it is Lake Sarychelik itself, shimmering like a sapphire fallen into the folds of the mountains. Its waters are so pure they seem to inhale the sky, reflecting each cloud and beam of light with dreamlike precision. Surrounding it, cliffs rise abruptly, dressed in blankets of pine and furrowed by waterfalls that seem to vanish before they reach the valley floor. The air here is more than clean. It's sweet with the scent of wildflowers and juniper, the sort of air that feels like it has never been breathed before. You won't hear the buzz of power lines or the echo of engines. Only the distant whistle of a golden eagle, the rustle of hoofprints from unseen deer, and the wind weaving its eternal song through the trees. Shepherds still move their flocks along ancient routes, their yurts blending seamlessly into the land. Sarychelik doesn't perform for the camera. It waits, quietly magnificent, for those who know how to see. Off the coast of Croatia, nestled like a secret between the better-known islands of Hvar and Korčula, lies Lastovo, an island untouched by time, its beauty fiercely guarded by its remoteness. No grand resorts, no party beaches, no tourist-laden promenades, just cliffs bathed in golden light, stone villages that breathe history, and waters so clear they look lit from beneath. The architecture here is a story in stone. Faded green shutters on century-old houses, red tile roofs sloping into tiny alleyways where fig trees bend low and lavender spills from garden walls. Above the island, pine forests perfume the air, and at night, the sky opens with such clarity it has been named one of the darkest and starriest in Europe. Sailboats drift silently into hidden coves where the sea glows in electric turquoise, revealing coral gardens and caves carved by millennia of tide and time. In the quiet hours of dawn, fishermen cast their nets while the sun rises behind layers of mist, like the opening scene of a forgotten myth. Lastovo is not interested in catching your attention. It invites you instead to disappear, to blend into the rhythm of the sea, the hum of cicadas, and the eternal hush of waves brushing the rocks like a prayer spoken in a language older than words. From the frozen north, we descend into the tropical depths of the Amazon rainforest, where a river unlike any other flows. Boiling River of the Amazon, or Shanay Timpishka. Hidden deep within the Peruvian jungle, this mysterious river runs hot enough to scald, its waters reaching temperatures of nearly 100 degrees Celsius. For centuries, locals have spoken of the river's supernatural powers, believing it to be guarded by a serpent spirit. Scientists, however, have uncovered a more earthly explanation. Geothermal activity beneath the surface heats the water, creating this incredible anomaly. The experience of standing at its banks is surreal. Steam rises in ghostly tendrils from the river's surface, curling through the dense jungle canopy like a living entity. The water, though inviting, is dangerously hot, capable of cooking small animals that mistakenly fall in. Daring visitors can dip their fingers in, feeling the near-boiling heat radiating from below. As the jungle hums with the sounds of unseen creatures, the boiling river remains an enigma, a place where science and legend intertwine in the heart of the Amazon. From the dense rainforest, we now travel to the Himalayan heights of India, where an eerie and chilling discovery lies hidden among the peaks. Rupkund Lake, also known as Skeleton Lake. Nestled at an altitude of over 5,000 meters, this remote glacial lake remains frozen for most of the year. But when the ice melts, a haunting sight is revealed. Hundreds of human skeletons, their bones scattered beneath the crystal-clear waters. First discovered in the 1940s, the mystery of who these people were and how they died has puzzled researchers for decades. Recent studies suggest that the skeletons date back to multiple time periods, some as far back as 1,200 years. The prevailing theory is that a catastrophic hailstorm, with hailstones the size of cricket balls, struck a group of travelers, killing them instantly. The dry mountain air preserved their remains, leaving behind a mass grave frozen in time. Standing at the edge of Ropekund Lake, surrounded by the silent peaks, the weight of history presses in, a sobering reminder of nature's unforgiving power and the fragility of human existence. Beneath the deep blue of the Icelandic sky, the volcanic valley of Landmannalaugar stretches like an abstract painter's fever dream. Mountains ripple in colors no geologist's palette could have predicted. Veins of emerald and tangerine, streaks of lavender melting into gold. Steam curls from hidden springs, carrying the scent of minerals and the distant whisper of molten stone. The rhyolite hills seem almost liquid in the way they catch light, their faces shifting hue with every passing cloud. Here, water trickles from unseen sources, gathering in pools that glow turquoise even under dim skies, tempting travelers into their warmth. In the silence, the air is so crisp it feels like it could cut glass, and yet, each breath is a gift, infused with the raw essence of the Earth's creation. The horizon is infinite, but your eyes will always be drawn to the undulating rainbow of rock at your feet, as if the world decided to reveal a secret only in this one place. In the far reaches of China's Gansu province, the Zhangye Dangxia landform rises in a storm of color and geometry. The hills here look like they've been dusted in powdered pigments by the hands of celestial artisans. Blood-red ridges fold into stripes of cobalt and saffron, while shadows deepen the valleys into impossible blues. The air hums with stillness, as though the wind knows better than to disturb something so rare. Light transforms the land in real time. At sunrise, the colors bloom bright and sharp. By dusk, they smolder into deep, glowing embers. The ridges ripple endlessly into the horizon, each layer a frozen wave of geological history, telling stories in hues that nature rarely writes together. Walking here feels like trespassing in a gallery not meant for human eyes, each step drawing you deeper into a living, breathing canvas that could never be replicated. Along the remote southern coast of Japan, concealed by layers of mist and mythology, lies the hauntingly beautiful island of Yakushima. A land of rain and dreams, this emerald isle is draped in ancient forests, so dense and alive, they feel like the lungs of the planet. The island's crown jewel is its primeval cedar trees, some more than 7,000 years old, silent giants with bark like woven armor, roots sprawling like frozen rivers through the mossy floor. As you step beneath their towering canopies, the forest swallows the world. Time becomes irrelevant. Sunlight filters through layers of green, refracted by moisture, creating an ethereal glow that lingers in the air. The soundscape is hypnotic. Raindrops tapping leaves, the distant rustle of deer, the occasional call of a yaku macaque. Every path feels sacred, every stone a relic of some older, forgotten civilization. The Jomonsugi, the island's most revered tree, stands like a monument to eternity. Reaching it requires a journey through winding trails, footbridges over roaring rivers, and moments of awe so profound they stop you mid-step. It's no surprise this enchanted realm inspired the Studio Ghibli film Princess Mononoke. Nature here does not simply surround you, it possesses you. In Yakushima, the forest is not background, It is alive, watching, welcoming, waiting. And once you walk beneath its dripping leaves, something inside you quietly changes. The road coils like a silver serpent through the hills of the Valle de Cocora, deep in the green heart of Colombia's coffee region. But no cup of dark roast ever hinted at this. An emerald cathedral of wax palms rising like living spires into the mist-swept sky. These trees, the tallest palms on earth, stand like guardians of a forgotten world. Clouds curl around their trunks, drifting past as though time itself has slowed to admire the view. The air here carries the chill of high altitudes, but it's laced with the sweetness of dew-covered orchids and wild guava. Sunlight breaks in fractured beams through gaps in the mist, casting golden halos around the trees. Horses tread softly through the undergrowth, their hooves barely making a sound in the carpet of moss and wet soil. There's no roar of cities, no hum of machines, just the hush of wind through feathered fronds and the distant call of Andean condors. Everything feels sacred. Even the rain here seems intentional, falling like a whispered secret on ancient leaves. It is a dream made real, a place where the earth remembers how to breathe in beauty. Far from the depths of the Pacific, the remote highlands of Ethiopia conceal another of the world's most astonishing wonders, the churches of Lalibela. Hewn directly from solid rock, these medieval churches, carved entirely below ground level, stand as a testament to human devotion and ingenuity. Dating back to the 12th century, each church was meticulously chiseled from volcanic rock, creating entire cathedrals hidden within the earth itself. The most famous of these subterranean sanctuaries is Bete Georgis, or the Church of St. George. Viewed from above, its cross-shaped design is perfectly symmetrical, as if crafted by divine hands. Narrow passageways, tunnels, and courtyards connect the churches, forming an underground labyrinth where monks in flowing robes move silently through the shadows. The air is filled with the scent of frankincense, and the walls, darkened by time, echo with the soft murmurs of prayer. Pilgrims from across the world journey to Lalibela, drawn not only by faith but by the sheer wonder of a place where architecture, history, and spirituality intertwine in a way found nowhere else on earth. From Ethiopia's ancient churches, we step into the surreal world of China's Zhangye Danxia landform, where the earth itself becomes a canvas of unimaginable color. Known as the Rainbow Mountains, this geological wonder stretches across China's Gansu province, its hills streaked with vibrant reds, oranges, yellows, and blues. The colors, formed by mineral deposits over millions of years, shift and change with the light, creating a mesmerizing illusion of painted landscapes. As the sun rises over the hills, the colors intensify, casting golden shadows across the rippling terrain. Trails wind through the mountains, offering breathtaking vantage points where the full spectrum of hues unfolds before the eye. The formations, eroded into bizarre shapes by wind and rain, seem almost fluid, their curves and ridges frozen in a state of eternal motion. Walking through Zhangye Danxia is like wandering through an abstract masterpiece, where nature itself has become the artist, painting with a palette more vivid than anything man could create. At the rim of a remote volcanic island in the South Pacific, Mount Yasur's crater glows with a restless heart of fire. The air trembles with the low roar of molten rock, each eruption sending fountains of glowing lava into the dark sky. The ground beneath your feet hums with energy, a reminder that the Earth's core is far from silent. Ash drifts down like black snow, settling on jagged rock and the faint outline of distant palm trees. Standing here feels like leaning into the breath of the planet itself, each plume of smoke curling upward to dissolve into the wind. The heat is constant, wrapping you in an embrace that is equal parts awe and warning. In the heart of Arizona, the wave undulates across the desert like a frozen tide. Bands of red, orange, and cream twist together in intricate curves, the sandstone polished smooth by millions of years of wind. Sunlight paints shifting shadows in its grooves, and every step reveals new patterns that feel too deliberate to be random. The air is dry and sharp, carrying the scent of sun-baked rock. Time seems suspended here, the stillness so complete that even the passing of clouds feels like an intrusion. Walking through these corridors of stone is like wandering inside a sculpture carved by the slow hand of eternity. On the southern coast of Italy, where the sun burns gold into the cliffs and the Tyrrhenian Sea rolls like liquid sapphire, hides a place even many Italians have never seen: Civita di Bagnoregio. Perched atop a crumbling volcanic mesa and connected to the world by a single narrow pedestrian bridge, this ancient village floats like a dream above the fog. Known as La Città che muore, the dying city, Civita is slowly succumbing to time, its cliffs eroding, its walls weathering like parchment. But what remains is nothing short of transcendent. Stone archways open into cobbled alleys lined with blooming geraniums. Sunlight plays on ochre walls, and every turn reveals vistas that stretch into rolling vineyards, olive groves, and the deep folds of the Lazio countryside. There are no cars here, no neon signs, only footsteps echoing off stone and the clink of cutlery from hidden courtyards. At dusk, the town glows in amber tones, the sky melting into lavender as church bells ring like echoes from centuries past. Civita doesn't try to impress. It whispers, seduces, and disappears into the mist. It is a place between worlds, where the present is thin and history pulses just beneath the surface. Visiting Civita is like walking into a forgotten poem, one that lingers long after the last line has faded. In the heart of Iran's desert, where the sands stretch endlessly under the burning sun, lies a place that seems conjured from a dream: Badab-e-Sirte. This extraordinary natural wonder consists of cascading terraces of orange, red, and gold, formed by mineral-rich hot springs over thousands of years. The travertine pools, filled with water reflecting the sky, glow with an ethereal light at sunrise and sunset, as if ignited from within. Each terrace overflows into the one below, creating delicate ripples that shimmer in the shifting light. Walking barefoot along these formations, one can feel the warmth of the water, rich in salts and minerals, believed by locals to possess healing properties. The silence of the surrounding desert amplifies the experience, making it feel as though time has slowed to a crawl. It is a place that defies expectation, a hidden jewel in a land known more for its arid plains than for cascading pools of liquid fire. Thousands of miles away, in the wild landscapes of Canada, another extraordinary sight unfolds: Abraham Lake, where the waters are trapped beneath a spell of ice and air. In winter, this vast glacial lake transforms into a scene of frozen magic. Bubbles of methane, released by decaying organic matter at the lake's bottom, become trapped beneath the thick ice, forming ghostly white orbs suspended in layers. They appear like frozen pearls, scattered through the depths, creating a mesmerizing effect that stretches as far as the eye can see. Walking across the ice is an experience of pure wonder. The frozen surface, smooth as glass, reveals the trapped bubbles beneath, creating an illusion of depth and movement. Cracks run in jagged lines through the ice, adding to the eerie beauty of the landscape. As the sun dips below the horizon, the frozen lake takes on hues of violet and indigo, its surface glowing under the soft twilight. The silence here is absolute, broken only by the occasional deep groan of the ice expanding and shifting, a reminder that this frozen world is alive, constantly changing beneath the surface. High in the Himalayas, the sacred waters of Pangong Lake stretch in a band of pure turquoise between barren brown mountains. The lake's colors shift with the hour: soft silver at dawn, blazing blue at midday, deep indigo under the stars. The wind whispers across the surface, carrying a chill that sinks straight into your bones. The surrounding peaks stand silent, their reflections shimmering in the glassy water. There is no sound of human life here, only the quiet lap of waves against stony shores and the occasional cry of a distant bird. It is a place that belongs to the sky as much as the land, caught forever between the two. In Tanzania, the waters of Lake Natron shimmer a deep, unnatural crimson under the sun. The color comes from mineral-rich algae, staining the lake like a pool of molten rubies. The air is heavy with heat, and the shoreline is littered with ghostly white shapes. Birds and small animals calcified by the lake's caustic chemistry, frozen in place as though turned to stone by some ancient curse. Despite its eerie stillness, flamingos flock here in the thousands, their pink plumage glowing against the blood-red water. The horizon wavers in the heat, and every step near the shore feels like approaching a place where the rules of life and death have been rewritten. Tucked into the high plains of Bosnia and Herzegovina, surrounded by rolling fields and blue ridges, lies a village lost in time. Lukomir. At nearly 1,500 meters above sea level, this is the country's highest and most isolated permanent settlement. A cluster of stone houses with shingled roofs, perched on the edge of a dramatic canyon that cuts like a scar through the Dinaric Alps. Sheep graze along rocky slopes. The scent of wood smoke curls through the air. The villagers still wear traditional garments, speak in dialects older than the nation itself, and live by the rhythm of the land. There is no supermarket, no streetlight, only a single winding path in and out, often closed off by snow for much of the year. And yet, Lukomir pulses with a fierce beauty. The Rakitnica Canyon unfurls below, a chasm carved by eons of wind and water. Wildflowers bloom defiantly in cracks of stone. The silence here is complete, as if the sky itself is listening. Sit on a boulder at the edge of the cliff, and you will feel it. A vastness that stretches not just across space, but across time. In Lukomir, the modern world evaporates. What remains is elemental: wind, stone, soul. On the western fringe of Tasmania, where rainforest meets sea and clouds cling to every crag, lies a place so secluded that few have ever set foot there: Corinna. Once a gold mining town, now a ghost revived by nature's reclaiming hand, Corinna stands on the banks of the Paiman River, enveloped by temperate rainforest older than time itself. In the heart of the Arctic, where ice and sky merge into an endless expanse of white and blue, lies an island unlike any other, Svalbard. This remote Norwegian archipelago, situated between mainland Europe and the North Pole, is a land of glaciers, frozen fjords, and vast tundras inhabited by polar bears, Arctic foxes, and reindeer. It is one of the northernmost inhabited places on Earth, where the sun never sets in summer and never rises in winter. Drifting through the icy waters by boat, towering icebergs gleam like sculptures carved by unseen hands, their surfaces reflecting every shade of blue imaginable. Seals lounge on floating ice, while whales breach the frigid waters in displays of raw power. The silence here is almost otherworldly, broken only by the distant creak of shifting ice or the howl of the wind sweeping across the frozen wilderness. And in the depths of winter, when the Arctic night reigns supreme, the sky erupts in an explosion of color as the northern lights dance above the icy horizon, illuminating the landscape in ethereal greens and purples. Svalbard is a place where the boundaries of the world blur, where nature reigns supreme, and where those who venture here become witnesses to the raw beauty of the extreme north. In the midst of the Indian Ocean, a geological marvel lies hidden beneath the waves, the so-called underwater waterfall of Mauritius. Off the coast of this lush tropical island, an optical illusion unlike any other creates the appearance of a vast waterfall plunging into the depths of the ocean. In reality, this breathtaking effect is caused by sand and silt being swept off the underwater plateau, creating the illusion of cascading water when viewed from above. Flying over the phenomenon, the contrast between the shallow turquoise lagoon and the deep navy blue ocean beyond is mesmerizing. The swirling currents of sand create a hypnotic pattern, as if the very fabric of the ocean is being pulled into the abyss. Yet standing on the shore, gazing out at the calm, glassy waters, there is no indication of the illusion that lies beneath. It is a reminder of how perception shapes reality and how nature, time and time again, proves itself capable of the most extraordinary tricks. In the highlands of Madagascar, Tsingy de Bemaraha cuts the horizon with a forest of razor-sharp limestone peaks. The stone blades rise in dense, jagged clusters, their surfaces weathered into intricate grooves and ridges. Narrow walkways and rope bridges thread between the spires, swaying above deep chasms where light barely touches the ground. The air is dry, carrying the scent of sun-baked rock and distant vegetation. From above, the stone forest stretches endlessly, a labyrinth of gray that hides entire ecosystems within its shadows. It is a landscape so alien in form that it feels like stepping onto another planet. Off the coast of Portugal's Madeira Island, the Ponta de São Lourenço Peninsula unfurls in ribbons of ochre and green. Cliffs plunge into the Atlantic, where waves crash in endless white spray against the rock. Narrow paths wind along the ridge, offering sweeping views of the sea on both sides. The wind is constant here, carrying the sharp scent of salt and wildflowers that cling to the slopes. Light shifts quickly, turning the ocean from teal to deep navy in moments, while seabirds wheel overhead, their cries lost to the wind. The beauty here is raw and unguarded, the kind that leaves the air tasting of freedom. Amid the sweeping volcanic highlands of Ethiopia, concealed within the depths of the Simien Mountains, lies a secret cathedral carved not of stone, but of fire and sky, Abuna Yamata Gu. This monolithic church, etched into a sheer sandstone cliff, stands over 2,500 meters above sea level, accessible only to those willing to scale the vertical rock face with nothing but footholds and faith. The ascent is not for the faint-hearted. You climb barefoot, fingers gripping time-smoothed ridges, the abyss yawning below with every upward step. Yet, with every breathless meter gained, the world below grows smaller, and something deeper begins to rise within, a kind of primal reverence. At the summit, the entrance to the church yawns like a secret long buried, and when you pass through, a new world unfolds. Inside, the walls bloom with ancient frescoes, vivid portraits of saints and angels painted over 1,000 years ago, their colors unfaded by time, their eyes wise with eternity. The air is still and cool, filtered through centuries of devotion. Sunlight spills through a narrow slit in the stone, casting beams upon the altar. Outside, the world spreads in silence, peaks and plateaus dissolving into haze. This place was not built to attract pilgrims. It was born from a need to touch the divine in solitude. Abuna Yamata-gu is not just a church. It is a prayer cast into the sky, a monument to the idea that the path to something sacred is never easy, but always worth the climb. Earth holds wonders beyond imagination. In the remote deserts of Saudi Arabia, the sandstone monoliths of Al-Ula rise from the golden sands, their colossal forms shaped by wind and time. Among them stands the breathtaking marvel of Hegra, an ancient Nabatean city rivaling Petra in its grandeur. Its tombs, carved directly into the towering rock faces, remain largely untouched by modern civilization, their intricate facades whispering of a forgotten empire. Walking among these silent stone monuments, one feels the presence of those who came before, merchants, kings, and travelers who once passed through this sacred valley. The desert, though harsh, is alive with a quiet energy. As the sun sets, casting the cliffs in hues of deep orange and crimson, the entire landscape seems to pulse with history. The air, filled with the scent of dry earth and distant acacia trees, carries echoes of an era long gone. Here, where the sands stretch endlessly toward the horizon, the ruins of Hegra stand as a testament to a civilization lost to time, yet never truly forgotten. In the heart of the Indian Ocean, where the waters shimmer in shades of sapphire and jade, lies the island of Socotra, a place so strange and isolated that it seems to belong to another world. Known as the Galapagos of the Indian Ocean, Socotra is home to a collection of flora and fauna found nowhere else on Earth. The island's most famous inhabitant is the dragon's blood tree, an ancient umbrella-shaped tree with twisted branches that stretch toward the sky. Its crimson sap, which bleeds from cuts in its bark, was once prized for its medicinal and mystical properties, giving the tree its legendary name. Walking through a forest of these peculiar trees feels like stepping into an alien landscape. The ground is parched and rocky, yet life flourishes in the most unexpected ways. Bottle trees, with their swollen trunks and pink blossoms, dot the arid plains, while limestone caves and massive dunes carve surreal shapes into the land. The coastline, rugged and wild, is home to pristine beaches where the sand glows white under the tropical sun. As the waves crash against towering cliffs, the wind carries a strange stillness, one that speaks of isolation, mystery, and the passage of time in a world untouched by modern civilization. In the icy stillness of the Arctic, where glaciers groan and light plays in ethereal silence, lies an island seldom spoken of, almost mythic in its remoteness. Senja, Norway's secret northern crown. Overshadowed by the fame of the Lofoten Islands, Senja remains wild, raw, and gloriously untouched, a sculpted masterpiece where jagged mountains rise like fangs from deep fjords, and roads cling to cliffs in a ballet of engineering and nature. In summer, the midnight sun bathes the landscape in a gold that never dies, illuminating peaks that pierce the sky like cathedral spires. Hike to the summit of Segla, and the world drops away. Beneath you, a sheer cliff falls into the glistening fjord, while the sea stretches endless, breathing fog and light. Eagles circle in solemn majesty, and the wind speaks in hushed reverence. In winter, the land transforms again, swathed in snow and silence, with the northern lights cascading across the heavens like rivers of flame. Villages here feel like remnants of another age, weathered houses huddled against the cold, boats resting quietly on mirrored harbors, and fishermen casting nets as they've done for generations. The ocean whispers to the rocks, and the mountains loom with myth. Senja is not simply scenic, it is cinematic. Every corner a frozen frame of epic wonder. Here, the earth is a storyteller, and every cliff, wave, and starlit sky is a verse in an ancient, never-ending saga. In Venezuela, the flat-topped mesas of the Gran Sabana rise abruptly from endless grasslands like the remnants of a lost world. Tipuy cliffs stand sheer and unyielding, their summits veiled in cloud. From these heights, waterfalls plunge hundreds of meters into misty ravines, vanishing into the jungle below. The rock faces glow red under the sun, broken only by dark streaks where water carves its path. Climbing into this realm feels like stepping into a place untouched for millennia, home to species found nowhere else, and landscapes shaped by forces that predate human memory. The air is thin and charged with the scent of wet stone, and the view stretches so far, you feel as though you can see the curve of the earth. Beneath the icy crust of Iceland's Vatnajökull Glacier, sapphire blue ice caves open like windows into another dimension. Light filters through thick walls of compressed ice, casting the space in a surreal, shifting glow. The ceilings are textured with frozen ripples, and the floor glistens under a thin layer of meltwater. Every sound is amplified. The drip of water, the creak of shifting ice, reminding you that this place is alive, constantly changing. The air is cold enough to bite at your skin, yet the beauty here is warm in its intensity, wrapping you in color so pure it seems impossible that it belongs to the earth. Sahara Desert, another hidden wonder, lies buried beneath the sands. Tintin's Arches, a remote and mesmerizing rock formation in Algeria's Tassili N'Ajjer National Park. These massive, naturally sculpted arches rise from the desert floor, like the remnants of an ancient fortress, their weathered surfaces shaped by millennia of wind erosion. The surrounding landscape is a masterpiece of natural art. Towering rock pillars, labyrinthine canyons, and petroglyphs etched into the stone by prehistoric humans. Exploring this vast, Martian-like terrain feels like wandering through a forgotten world. The silence is absolute, broken only by the whisper of shifting sand and the distant call of desert falcons. At night, the sky explodes with stars, their brilliance undimmed by light pollution, making this one of the best stargazing locations on Earth. The Milky Way stretches across the heavens in dazzling clarity, and the constellations shine as they did for the ancient civilizations that once roamed this land. It is a place of solitude and wonder, where the weight of time is almost tangible, and the beauty of the universe feels closer than ever. Far from the desert heat, beneath the cool waters of Italy's Lake Rhetian, lies a site that belongs in legend, a lone church bell tower rising from the depths, its pointed spire breaking the surface of the water like a ghostly sentinel. This submerged relic is all that remains of the old village of Groen, which was deliberately flooded in the 1950s to create a hydroelectric reservoir. Today, only the bell tower of the 14th century church remains visible, a haunting reminder of the past. In winter, when the lake freezes over, visitors can walk across the ice to the tower, hearing whispers of long-lost history carried by the wind. Local legend speaks of the bells still ringing beneath the water, though they were removed long ago. The surreal sight of the lonely steeple emerging from the blue expanse of the lake makes it one of Europe's most mysterious and captivating places, a bridge between past and present, between what was and what remains. Hidden high in the peaks of China's Anhui province, the Huangshan Mountains emerge like a vision from a dream. Jagged granite spires pierce through seas of cloud, their slopes adorned with wind-bent pine trees that cling to the rock with impossible grace. Mist coils and drapes itself over the cliffs, revealing and concealing the view in hypnotic rhythm. At dawn, the mountains glow in soft amber light, each peak rising like an island in a shifting ocean of vapor. Narrow stone paths wind along sheer cliffs, offering glimpses of waterfalls tumbling into the mist below. Here, the world seems to balance perfectly between earth and sky, and time itself slows to the pace of drifting clouds. In the crystal-clear waters of the Philippines, Kayangan Lake rests in a cradle of jagged limestone cliffs. The water shifts from sapphire to emerald, so pure that you can see the smallest pebbles on the lakebed. Dense jungle crowns the cliffs, their shadows painting moving patterns across the surface as the sun arcs overhead. The air is thick with the scent of salt and fresh leaves, and the only sounds are the occasional call of a bird and the gentle lap of water against stone. Swimming here is like floating in liquid glass, your reflection merging with the shapes of the mountains that rise all around you. It is a place untouched by rush, where every ripple feels like it belongs to another age. Tucked within the folds of northern Albania, where the Dinaric Alps soar toward the sky and valleys remain lost in silence, lies a village nearly untouched by time. Theth. Enclosed by dramatic limestone peaks, this alpine hamlet whispers secrets of an old world, where shepherds still guide their flocks through mist-covered meadows, and stone houses with wooden roofs perch like sentinels on the green slopes. The road to Theth is not an easy one. Narrow, winding, and carved precariously into mountainsides. But it is precisely this seclusion that has preserved its soul. As the sun rises over the Valbona Pass and spills gold over the valley, Theth emerges like a painting brought to life. Waterfalls cascade from cliffs wrapped in shadow. The Grunas waterfall crashes into a basin of impossibly turquoise water, its roar echoing through ancient pine forests. A short hike leads to the Blue Eye of Theth, a hidden spring of crystal clarity that glows from within, as if lit by magic. The air carries the scent of juniper and stone, and the only traffic here is a shepherd leading his goats or a hiker pausing to absorb the surreal stillness. The Church of Theth, white and humble, stands quietly against the mountain's strength, a symbol of endurance and belief. Time slows here. The stars at night are diamond-sharp, scattered across a sky so vast and untouched, it seems prehistoric. There is no Wi-Fi to tether you to the modern world, only the soft hum of wind through the valley, the clang of cowbells in the distance, and the unspoken invitation to forget, if only for a moment, everything else. Half a world away, in the remote Pacific waters of Palau, another hidden wonder lies beneath the surface. Jellyfish Lake. Unlike any other body of water on Earth, this marine lake is home to millions of golden jellyfish that have evolved without natural predators. Over thousands of years, these jellyfish lost their ability to sting, making it possible for swimmers to glide among them without harm. Floating in the warm waters, surrounded by thousands of pulsating, translucent creatures, is a surreal and dreamlike experience. The jellyfish move with the sun, drifting in mesmerizing patterns as their delicate bodies catch the light. The silence beneath the surface is profound, broken only by the rhythmic movement of water and the gentle touch of jellyfish brushing against the skin. It is a place that feels almost sacred, a reminder of the strange and wondrous paths evolution can take when left undisturbed. From the hidden depths of the ocean, we ascend to the dazzling heights of the Italian Alps, where the glow of an ancient phenomenon still mesmerizes visitors, Monte Cristallo's Enrosadera. Known as the Alpenglow, this rare optical illusion occurs at sunrise and sunset, when the peaks of the Dolomites ignite in shades of pink, red, and fiery orange. The legend behind the phenomenon speaks of a lost kingdom, its palaces and gardens once bathed in golden light, now forever sealed in stone. As the sun dips below the horizon, the mountains seem to breathe with color, their rocky faces glowing as if lit from within. For a few brief moments, the world is transformed, the sky and stone blending in a dance of light. This fleeting magic, a phenomenon explained by the unique mineral composition of the Dolomites, captures the essence of nature's ability to inspire awe. Standing atop the peaks, watching the mountains burn with impossible beauty, one feels the weight of time, the slow and steady forces that shape the world in ways both seen and unseen. On the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe, Victoria Falls thunders into the gorge below with a force that shakes the ground. Known as the smoke that thunders, its curtain of water stretches more than a mile across, dropping in a sheer wall into a roiling cauldron of mist. Rainbows arc across the spray, shifting with the light as the sun climbs higher. The roar is constant, filling the air and drowning out every other sound. At the edge of the precipice, the water's speed is hypnotic, pulling the gaze forward until the drop seems inevitable. The sheer scale and raw power make it feel like a living entity, breathing in endless cycles of creation and destruction. In the wilderness of Chile's Atacama Desert, the Valley of the Moon spreads in a silence so deep it feels unearthly. The landscape is a mosaic of jagged ridges, salt-crusted flats, and dunes that ripple in perfect symmetry. The air is bone-dry, the scent of dust lingering in every breath. As the sun sets, the rocks catch fire in shades of copper and gold, and shadows stretch across the ground like liquid ink. At night, the sky reveals its full brilliance. Millions of stars burning so bright they cast faint shadows on the earth. The emptiness here is complete, yet it hums with a strange, patient energy. In the far reaches of the Philippine archipelago, far from the glittering beaches of Palawan and the tourist-drenched sands of Boracay, rests a secret whispered only among the most intrepid explorers. Calayan Island. Part of the Babuyan Islands and accessible only by long, weather-dependent boat rides, Calayan remains pristine, a lush, volcanic Eden surrounded by sapphire sea and sky. The coastline is jagged, wild, and theatrical. Waves crash against black cliffs, sending up fountains of white spray. Hidden coves shelter beaches of pale sand where no footprints linger. The most iconic of these is Sibang Cove, a crescent of powdery white embraced by emerald hills, its turquoise waters so clear they seem lit from within. Hike inland, and waterfalls tumble through rainforest, where hornbills call and monitor lizards slink beneath ferns. There is no luxury here. Electricity is sparse. Wi-Fi is a rumor, but in its place is something far more rare: clarity. Nights are painted with stars, and the Milky Way is a shimmering ribbon across the black dome above. The locals, few in number, share stories of sea spirits and weather gods, and offer food cooked over flame with a smile that feels like home. Calayan is the Philippines before postcards, a world of raw elements, wild heartbeats, and unscripted moments. Andes, we now descend into the subterranean wonders of Mexico's Cave of the Crystals, an underground cathedral of astonishing beauty. Discovered beneath the Nika mine, this cavern is home to some of the largest natural crystals ever found. Massive, sword-like selenite formations that stretch for over 10 meters and weigh several tons. The cave, which sits above a chamber of molten magma, remains at a staggering 58 degrees Celsius with nearly 100% humidity, making it one of the most inhospitable environments ever explored. To step inside this shimmering cavern is to enter a world unlike any other. The crystals, translucent and glowing with an unearthly radiance, seem to defy nature itself. The air is thick with heat, and every movement is a struggle against the suffocating humidity. Scientists speculate that these crystals took hundreds of thousands of years to grow, forming in conditions so extreme that life itself is nearly impossible. It is a place where the boundaries between science fiction and reality dissolve, where the planet reveals its hidden treasures in forms beyond imagination. Far beneath the cave's shimmering walls, in the depths of the ocean, another natural wonder unfolds: the ethereal realm of the Great Blue Hole off the coast of Belize. This vast circular sinkhole, plunging over 120 meters into the ocean floor, is a portal to the unknown, an abyss that has fascinated divers and explorers for decades. From above, its near-perfect shape contrasts sharply against the turquoise waters of the surrounding reef, creating the illusion of a bottomless void. Diving into the Great Blue Hole is a descent into darkness, where the light fades rapidly, replaced by an eerie stillness. Massive limestone stalactites, formed during the last ice age when the hole was a dry cavern, hang from the walls like the ruins of an ancient cathedral. The deeper one goes, the colder and more silent the world becomes, a realm where time has ceased to exist. In the hushed depths of the abyss, surrounded by formations untouched for millennia, one is reminded of how much of our planet remains unexplored. How many mysteries still wait in the dark, unseen and unknown. In the dense jungle, half a world away, in the waters off Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, another place of astonishing beauty hides just below the surface: the Museo Subacuático de Arte, an underwater museum unlike any other. This sunken gallery, filled with over 500 life-sized sculptures, lies beneath the turquoise waters of the Caribbean, providing both a surreal diving experience and an artificial reef to promote marine life. Swimming among the statues is both haunting and mesmerizing. Figures of men, women, and children stand frozen in time, covered in coral and algae, slowly becoming part of the underwater world. Schools of fish weave between the sculptures, and stingrays glide effortlessly over the sandy ocean floor. The museum is a striking fusion of art and nature, a place where human creativity meets the rhythms of the sea. It is a reminder of both the fragility and resilience of the ocean, a submerged sanctuary where beauty continues to evolve beneath the waves. In the heart of Turkmenistan's Karakum Desert, where the sands stretch endlessly under the scorching sun, a fiery abyss has burned for more than 50 years. The Darvaza gas crater, ominously known as the Door to Hell. This infernal pit, measuring nearly 70 meters across, was created in 1971 when a Soviet drilling operation accidentally struck a massive underground gas pocket, causing the ground to collapse. Fearing the release of toxic gases, geologists set the crater alight, expecting the fire to burn out within days. Instead, it has raged ever since, consuming the endless supply of methane beneath the surface. Approaching the crater at night, the scene is otherworldly. Flames leap from the pit's depths, casting a hellish glow against the dark desert sky. The heat is intense, radiating outward in waves that distort the air, while the roaring sound of burning gas fills the silence of the surrounding wasteland. Standing at its edge, peering into the churning flames, one feels a primal unease, as if glimpsing something not meant for human eyes. The door to hell is both mesmerizing and terrifying, a reminder of mankind's power to awaken forces beyond its control. In the wilderness of Mongolia, we traveled to the sun-scorched salt flats of Iran, where the mesmerizing landscape of Dasht-e-Lut unfolds in a vision of heat and silence. Known as one of the hottest places on Earth, with surface temperatures recorded at over 70 degrees Celsius, this vast desert is a place of extremes. Its heart is dominated by the Kholuts, towering, wind-sculpted rock formations that rise like ancient ruins from the desert floor. These surreal, cathedral-like structures, shaped over thousands of years by relentless winds, cast long, eerie shadows in the fading light of sunset. The silence in Dasht-e-Lut is absolute, so profound that it has been described as one of the quietest places on the planet. There are no animals, no plants, just the endless dance of sand and wind. At night, under a sky untouched by artificial light, the Milky Way unfurls in breathtaking clarity, casting a celestial glow over the endless dunes. It is a place where time dissolves, where the vast emptiness makes one feel both insignificant and deeply connected to the raw, untamed forces of the deserts of Iran. In the icy reaches of Canada's Yukon Territory lies another hauntingly beautiful spectacle: the frozen explosion of the Takhini Hot Springs. Each winter, when temperatures plunge to bone-chilling extremes, visitors to the hot springs engage in a bizarre yet mesmerizing tradition, tossing their wet hair into the freezing air, where it instantly crystallizes into fantastical, gravity-defying shapes. The result is a surreal display of frozen sculptures, wild halos of ice fanning out from their heads like living works of art. Surrounded by a vast wilderness of snow-covered forests and towering mountains, the Takhini Hot Springs offer a rare juxtaposition of elements: scalding heat from beneath the earth and the unforgiving chill of the Arctic winter. Bathing in these thermal waters as the northern lights shimmer overhead is an experience few ever forget, a moment where fire and ice coexist in perfect balance, where nature's extremes collide in spectacular beauty. From Canada's foothills of Cambodia, swallowed by time and nature, lies the forgotten city of Khor Kher, a mysterious and remote temple complex that once stood as the capital of the Khmer Empire. Unlike the famous Angkor Wat, which sees thousands of visitors daily, Khor Kher remains largely untouched, its ruins hidden beneath a thick canopy of towering trees. The crowning jewel of this lost city is Prasat Tham, a seven-tiered pyramid that rises unexpectedly from the jungle, its stone steps leading toward the heavens. Climbing to the summit, the view is breathtaking, a vast expanse of untouched forest stretching in every direction, with only the distant hum of the jungle breaking the silence. Ancient stone carvings, weathered by centuries, whisper tales of a forgotten civilization that once thrived in these lands. Tree roots snake through the crumbling ruins, reclaiming the structures as part of the earth. To walk through Khor Kher is to step into a lost world, a place where history and myth intertwine, where the ruins of a mighty empire remain hidden beneath the embrace of nature. From the ruins of Cambodia, we journey to the high-altitude plateaus of Bolivia, where the eerie beauty of Laguna Colorada defies all expectations. This shallow, blood-red lake, set against a backdrop of snow-capped volcanoes, is one of the most surreal landscapes on Earth, The lake's striking crimson hue comes from the presence of algae and minerals, which react with sunlight to create a color so vivid it appears almost unnatural. Flamingos, their pink feathers blending with the lake's surface, wade gracefully through the shallow waters, feeding on the microscopic organisms that give Laguna Colorada its distinct color. The surrounding terrain is equally bizarre. Salt flats, mineral deposits, and steam vents create an alien-like environment where the air is thin and the wind howls across the barren expanse. At sunset, the lake transforms into a mirror of fire, its surface reflecting the sky's golden hues in a breathtaking fusion of light and color. It is a place of pure magic, where the forces of nature come together in a spectacle that seems more like a dream than reality. Deep in the heart of from the burning desert, we journey to the lush highlands of Papua New Guinea, where the boiling lake of Dominica hides deep within the jungle, shrouded in mist and mystery. This cauldron-like body of water, one of the largest boiling lakes in the world, is an astonishing natural wonder fueled by volcanic activity. The lake's surface constantly churns with scalding water, its color shifting between shades of gray. The air is thick with sulfur, and plumes of steam rise in ghostly spirals, obscuring the view. The journey to reach the boiling lake is an adventure in itself. Trekking through dense rainforests, across steep ridges and bubbling hot springs, one feels as though they are stepping through a land untouched by time. The lake itself appears suddenly, an immense, steaming basin hidden within a rocky crater. Legends among local communities speak of spirits dwelling within its depths, and indeed, standing before its seething waters, it is easy to believe in the presence of something beyond human comprehension. Far from the volcanic landscapes of Papua New Guinea, deep beneath the frozen surface of Antarctica, lies an invisible wonder, Lake Vostok, one of the world's largest and deepest subglacial lakes. Trapped beneath nearly 4 kilometers of ice, this vast body of water has remained isolated from the surface for millions of years, untouched by sunlight, wind, or human interference. It is a place so remote and extreme that it has been compared to the potential conditions of alien oceans beneath the icy crusts of moons like Europa. Scientists have drilled into the ice, retrieving water samples that hint at the presence of microbial life capable of surviving in extreme environments. What lies beneath remains largely unknown, a hidden world where ancient organisms may have evolved in complete isolation, untouched by the planet's shifting climates. To stand on the surface above Lake Vostok is to stand on the edge of the unknown, peering down into a vast, dark abyss that has held its secrets for longer than human civilization has existed. We journey to the volcanic heart of Iceland, where another surreal landscape emerges. Hverir, the steaming, sulfuric badlands of the north. Here, the earth breathes in plumes of white steam, its surface bubbling with mud pools and hissing fumaroles. The air is thick with the scent of sulfur, and the ground, painted in shades of orange, red, and yellow, appears almost alien. Walking through this geothermal wonderland is an experience unlike any other. The mud pots gurgle and spit, their surfaces alive with constant motion. Cracks in the earth release jets of scalding steam, forming ghostly wisps that dissolve into the sky. The silence is eerie, broken only by the occasional distant rumble of the earth shifting beneath the crust. Hverir is a place where the planet's raw energy is on full display, a reminder that beneath our feet, the earth is constantly alive, restless, and ever-changing. Across the world, in the remote desert of Saudi Arabia, another hidden marvel stands untouched by time. the edge of the world. Officially known as Jebel Firain, this dramatic escarpment rises abruptly from the endless sea of sand, its sheer cliffs dropping off into an abyss that stretches beyond the horizon. Standing at the edge, the view is staggering, a seemingly infinite desert landscape, interrupted only by the occasional dry riverbed winding through the earth like the remnants of an ancient ocean. As the wind howls through the cliffs, the feeling of standing at the end of the world becomes overwhelming. The vast emptiness below, the silence of the desert, and the sheer scale of the landscape create a sensation of complete isolation. At sunset, the rock formations glow in hues of gold and amber, and the sky transforms into a canvas of fiery reds and purples. This is a place where time seems meaningless, where the past, present, and future blur into the endless expanse of sand and sky. Where the dry lands of Chile bleed into the Atacama's northern edge, the wind-carved cliffs of Valle de la Luna stand like guardians of an alien planet. And nestled just beyond, barely known even to seasoned travelers, is a place sculpted in whispers and salt, the Piedras Rojas. Here, the high-altitude desert becomes an artist's canvas, painted with colors that defy logic. Rust-red rock formations wrapped around lagoons of neon turquoise, framed by the silent, snow-dusted Andes. It is a place where extremes collide. The sun burns and the air chills. Flamingos wade through shallow mineral lakes, their pink reflections mirrored in surreal clarity. The landscape looks alive, like it's breathing through the dry wind that scrapes across the plains. And yet, there's no movement, just the heavy hush of geological time, stretching endlessly into the horizon. You arrive not by chance, but by choice, bouncing across salt flats and gravel trails until the world falls away behind you. And when you step out into the luminous quiet, something shifts. The colors of the earth seem more vivid, the sky more infinite. You don't just look, you feel. The ancient energy of the land hums in your bones. Here, in this uncelebrated corner of the Atacama, the earth wears its oldest skin and dares you to listen.